This conference will now be recorded.
I don't make noise. All right, we'll call the meeting to order. Stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Lord, as we gather this day to do the important business for the people of the village of Owego, grant us wisdom, compassion, and understanding. Amen.
All right, so a little different than usual. First item tonight is a public hearing on local law number 1. A local law repealing section 195-32 of the village code entitled Areas Subject to Flooding. So do we have anybody here to talk about that? How about online?
I'd like to say something. My camera's off because I'm in the car. This is Julie Nucci.
Yep, that's fine.
Okay. I hope I don't lose you. So just for clarification, so I'm on the planning board, and the planning board had a meeting about this, but because I am not in New York State, I could not participate. Um, so I actually wrote a statement that I was hoping could be read at the planning board, and that wasn't possible. So Mike, I sent this email to you. I sent this email to Laura, so you both have it. But before the planning board, I had a good conversation with Mick Knapp, code enforcement officer, and this is an email that I put together as a result of our conversation. So Mick, who's in charge of code with Terry, Mick approves of this message. So this is the summary on the special use permit. So repeal 195.32 since it is outdated and some things were wrong. 117 was put in place in 2012, which corrected some things that were wrong, and 195.32, such as rebuilt to the high water mark, but it didn't remove 195.32. Routine things that have no impact on floodplain compliance can go through code only, and code needs to ensure that this is, the one thing. Code has to ensure that anything in the floodplain, even if they're moving dirt, gets a floodplain development permit. Anything in the special hazard, special flood hazard area has to get a floodplain development permit, but that's it. It's just a sheet of paper. It's easy. If there's a substantial improvement, or if there's any action that's going to potentially result in floodplain compliance issues, right? Such as a substantial improvement. Any project for which the code enforcement officer believes it could reach substantial improvement for a non-compliant structure in the special flood hazard area should go through planning. Another thing, new construction in the special flood hazard area of any building or addition greater than 144 square feet should go through planning. Any projects in the special flood hazard area with a site plan should go through planning. I mean, we know this should happen. It hasn't happened in the past. We need to make sure it happens. So I guess that may not be an inclusive list, but it seems to me like there needs to be a study of, yes, repeal 195.32, but at the same time make sure that we can amend 117 so that code has cover, right? We need a check and balance in the system for things which could substantially impact our floodplain compliance. So it isn't all on code to be perfect, that we have some oversight. So that's the statement that I wanted to make. I don't know what other communities do. Through BRIC DTA, we are in the process of putting in an application that will, if we get it, but granted, that wouldn't be for a year out, and we haven't even submitted it yet, and you guys haven't even voted on it yet, but we're in discussion. But one of the things we can put in that grant application is a thorough review of code to ensure that we have enough checks and balances in the system so that we don't make extra work for code enforcement and we don't unnecessarily slow projects down. But for ones where we could potentially get into trouble, we do our due diligence. So I don't know if anybody on the board has any questions about what I mean by that. Mike, I mean, what I just said is wordier than the email that you have, but you have that email as a reference to those points.
Yep, I have it here. Do you want me to send it to Rodney so you can include it in the minutes for the?
Yeah, and all that you need, can you just crop it? Because that's a long email trail with other things from Nate about if
Yeah.
I could participate in the planning board, but if you could just crop out the important, the statement for the record, that would be great.
I will do that. I'll only send the email that you just sent today, not all the other stuff with it.
Okay.
And 8 is a couple minutes late to this meeting, but a lot of those things that brought up are questions for him, really. Doesn't mean
Yeah,
that we get a public hearing and then we have legally, once we hold a public hearing, we have 60 days to do something.
okay. So, maybe we need to put together a meeting, or if, I don't know if Nate, as the village attorney, can give us, our other communities, do they have other things in place as checks and balances, right? Are there other municipalities that he works with or knows of what their laws are? Or we could also, I can ask FEMA, I can ask DEC if they have any specific communities they could point us to, since we have 2 months to do this, to see if they have any built-in checks and balances for significant actions in the floodplain.
Well, actually, Nate just joined us, but yeah. Nate, we were just talking to Julie. We're in the public hearing for the local law, and she had a bunch of, I don't want to say ideas, but kind of ideas about repealing 18532, but also maybe modifying chapter 117 at the same time, after talking to Mick and code enforcement. Can you hear us?
I can't hear, Mike, I can hear you, but if Nate's talking, I couldn't hear him.
Yeah, I didn't hear Nate yet either. He's not. He's not. He's muted, but. But anyway, I will pass all that info on.
Yeah, and we can maybe touch base later and talk about, depending on the output of the meeting, within the 60-day time period, what we need to propose and discuss about 117 to make sure, things don't, to make sure the law is robust for floodplain compliance.
About 10 miles, right onto US 21 South.
Sorry, that's my nav talking, if you heard that, sorry.
You got 10 minutes.
I'm heading to Beaufort. So does that sound reasonable?
Yeah, I guess we'll see. I mean, they could take action tonight, or we could wait. So, but this is the public hearing, so.
Right.
So we will enter all that in and see what happens.
Okay. All right. I will stay on and try to listen. If I lose you, it's because I've lost signal, but at least I got to give you the input that I wanted to. So Thank you.
Okay, thanks for joining.
Okay.
Anybody else have a statement about the flood law? Yep.
My name is Kim Trahan, 275 Front Street. After reviewing the MIC and looking at both 117 and 195, it really does seem that the older section needs to go because it's so much more, there's so much better oversight with 117 as opposed to 195. So it seems more updated, more easy, not easy, more appropriate for the village to follow. There's more guidelines. So I would certainly support this change as well.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Should we close the public hearing?
Do we have to move to do that, or you just do that, Mike?
I think we can move to do that.
Move to close the public hearing? Can't remember.
7-11. Yeah, I don't remember if we make a motion for that or not. But
I think you do.
I think we do.
Okay.
It's one of those things we'll do just in case.
Right.
I've moved it.
I don't think we have to vote.
So, well, then we don't have to move it. Okay.
Maybe.
Move to go, right.
All right. So now we will go to public comment in case anybody has public comment. Then they can.
Mike, can I say one quick thing?
Sure.
Not 100%, but I wouldn't mind if we followed a little more procedural thing from now on in our things where a lot of times we hear from the public or we do this and then we vote to do something. I wouldn't mind if we followed the regular course, and most of the time, not every time, and went to old business and new business to take the actions on these rather than doing it in between everybody talking and stuff.
Yeah, that's fine.
Generally.
So the next item is public comment. So anybody come for public comment?
I did.
Sure.
Hi, everybody. My name is Heather Gelliford. I work with the Tioga County Soil and Water Conservation District. The purpose for me being here today is to discuss with you a grant opportunity that has become available through the Department of Environmental Conservation that gives the Village of Owego opportunity to have some plantings done within the Village of Owego. In order to be eligible for this grant, it's called the Community Restoration Grant or CORE grant. There's two different requirements. One of those requirements is to be a non-federal site, to be open to the public or privately owned. And that would include like land trusts or cemeteries, and also FEMA, even though FEMA is federal, there's an exception for those sites. So included in this grant is an ability for afforestation, which is tree planting, also invasive species removal, including like removing honeysuckle or potentially Japanese knotweed, or doing some sort of vegetation, like some sort of treatment. So it involves treatment and removal of invasive species. It also would be able to cover different practices like deer fencing to allow for natural regeneration of forests. In order to be eligible, like I was saying, you had to be a non-federal owned land, which, any properties owned by the Village of Owego would be eligible. So, and also there is a core eligibility map that was developed by the DEC, and that outlines different areas and different communities within New York State, and the Village of Owego has been identified. It's typically disadvantaged communities are highlighted for different opportunities like this, and Village of Owego is one of those. So the entire Village of Owego boundary is eligible for this grant. And so I've been working with Fred Ulrich to figure out different sites that would possibly be able to be maintained if we were to move forward with going after this grant. If the village was interested, there could be sites that don't necessarily have much of a public use, could be turned into possible forests for the future. Something that would be required in order to participate is there would have to be some sort of endorsement from the municipality or whoever the private landowner is for these sites. And there also would be a requirement for a planting plan created for each of these sites and some sort of maintenance plan. So the Upper Susquehanna Coalition and the Soil and Water and Southern Tier 8 are like working together to be the ones to apply for the grant, to do those planting plans, to figure out what's going on with those sites, and basically set everything up. So so it's not only just if the village of Owego was to move forward with this grant, it would be the village of Owego and other core eligible areas within the Upper Susquehanna Coalition, within the Upper Susquehanna watershed. And so all of those projects would be put together and presented to DEC as a total application. The funding cap is 150,000, so we would need different sites in the entire Upper Susquehanna Coalition to be able to kind of fit that, to max out that grant application. So I wanted to, have an open discussion about potentially what you guys think, or answer any questions about the grant and the parameters of it. And then also if there were sites that you guys were interested in or thought would be great, we can also discuss that now or like another time. The grant itself, so is due, I think it's March. What notes did I have here? I think it's March 17th or March 15th. But the Upper Susquehanna would like to have an entire list of all those like potential sites by next Friday, just to like kind of get out and take a look at the sites and see if they meet requirements and if it's something that everyone's okay with moving forward. The other thing I mentioned was the maintenance plan, and so that kind of is where Fred comes into play, where are these sites that you would be able to maintain? Would you be, and that maintenance consists of two mowings minimum a year, just to keep the vegetation down, at least on our end. But for our other plantings that we do across the county at private landowners or anywhere that we've done plantings along our tributaries or even our uplands, we have the low maintenance requirements. But typically, if we're going to be paying for trees and shrubs and tubes and stakes and all that good stuff, and also the labor and implementing the project on the site, we just ask that you take care of it and mow it 2 times a year, so that we would craft a maintenance plan, which would be mowing at least 2 times a year. And so I think there's no match required also, so it would just pretty much be like, hey guys, we think these sites would be great to be reforested or have invasive species removed or deer fence applied. And then there would just be a municipal approval, and then the USC will be able to craft all the things that are needed for the actual application. And then we would also look to the town or look to the village and look for someone to maintain it. And then over the years, we also have a planting monitoring program, and we hire on interns, and we go to all of our sites that we have planted in the county, and we monitor their survivability by taking counts of what's alive and what's dead. And it allows us to make decisions about replanting those areas, finding grants from other places, from other organizations, so we can get funding to replant those areas. So maybe a whole full circle support for what's needed to actually get an area to be reforested. And so it would just be identifying those sites and approval of those sites. Yes, ma'am.
Can you talk off the cuff about 2 sites that we have? One is the cemetery. We removed, like, we cleared 5 acres some time ago, but then we're not using that space. So is that like?
Yes.
Yeah. So like, what do you think about that as a site? And then also
Yes.
on North Ave, the pit where we plan to do an art park. We're now talking about treating just sort of the streetscape side of the land there with some art, and then having the pit, we're hoping to do some plantings down there. So tree with this?
Yes, definitely. So we've identified sites like just through the mapping that we have, just to be like, okay, maybe this is a good site. This kind of makes sense. This doesn't look like it's owned. Looks like it's owned by the village, but there's nothing there. It's just being maintained, just being mowed. So there's kind of like boots on the ground understanding of some sites that might be eligible, and one of those sites would be that area in front on North Street that was supposed to be the art park.
Plant all the trees you can't line to happen last year. So, we talked, but she planned on a little too close in time. Maybe more might have been a couple times.
But the planting plans would be crafted so they can be accessible for those who will be maintaining them. That would be the priority, because when you plant a tree, it needs to be maintained. You can't just, I mean, you can cross your fingers and walk away, but that approach historically has not worked. And so there's been a lot of development over the years to figure out what is actually beneficial and will have a site thrive in order for it to actually provide its ecosystem services. And so that involves maintenance and monitoring, and which we do now for other sites, and which we would be happy to do for sites like the North Avenue site, and then also the cemetery site. That's something that's been identified as well. That whole East Beecher Hill area is a part of the core eligibility area, and we talked to, I think it's Peter Gordon and some other folks. Gosh, I feel bad that I can't quite remember the names on the email chain there, but we have contacted to at least kind of get the conversation going. I know that there are some water mitigation issues that are happening up in that area. Trees can planted trees can help that. But I think there's also some talk that there might be still hope that those sites, that area can have new plots in it. But I can't fully speak for that site, but the talkings are on their way, and so those examples are exactly things that we need to be looking at and be looking forward to potentially plant. Yes, sir.
Sorry, but we always record everything. Could you tell us your last name again?
Gulliford. Gulliford.
D-U-L-L?
G-U.
G-U, Gulliford, G-U.
Gulliford.
And what organization were you?
Tioga County Soil and Water Conservation District. And the other organization is the Upper Susquehanna Coalition. And then the other organization is Southern Tier 8. And then the other organization is DEC, just to make it really confusing.
Oh, we need acronyms for all that, so we
Yeah. I should have printed out a handbook.
A couple of quick questions that they're
Sure.
more about the technical things. So when we get into this consortium of people together, I don't want to know in great detail, but and then they are looking at the grants. When they throw out, they say, oh, this one, or I don't know if they pick the whole thing, or they say, oh, maybe not this one. I don't know if they pick part of it. If they take something out, the rest of it still has the possibility of going. There's a way to make that work.
So basically what we would do, like what the Upper Susquehanna would do, they would be like, that's why we would have to come and kind of ground truth the sites to make sure that they would, meet the requirements of the grant. So it's more so as a project as a whole. Like when we actually submit the grant to the DEC, they're gonna be looking at the project as a whole. They won't be the ones picking out the sites and picking them out. They would just be saying like, okay, they met the requirements, they've given us the things, this is what we're looking for. These seem like these are good sites and justifiable for planting trees. This is great. This is going to be of benefit to the urban community. So basically, the purpose of having us come out and have all the sites sorted out by next Friday is so we can identify the ones that are best fit for the grant, and then toss out the ones before. So it will be in our hands before it will be our choice to make before it goes into the higher levels.
Joe, let me finish that. So it was good that you told us whether we had to have a monetary or some other match. It's none of that. I just wondered if so we do this and we plant a bunch of trees. do we have any, and we decide we didn't like them or we want it gone, we don't have any responsibility to have to we have to maintain it if it's there, but if we want to cut these trees down, we have control over that kind of thing. We don't have an obligation to leave that.
So for the purposes of the grant,
Yeah.
I believe that it's 10 years total. But
10 years total.
I can get that, after 10 years, like if you wanted to cut them down, you could, type of thing.
So,
But I can, let me verify that 100% for you, because it might be a scenario where it's like we really don't have any authority at all. So like,
yeah,
there's no.
interested to know.
So it's either like the agreement would be 10 years to be eligible for the application. But as far as like enforcement for that practice, if there was some reason that they had to be cut down, there's nothing on the deed, is what I would say. Like on the property, or like there's not like a conservation easement or something that would legally bind you, to the best of my knowledge. But I can go ahead and make sure to follow up. There is a line in here that says that 10 years.
Without taking this too far, the binding would be if we do X, Y, and Z, we have to pay the grant back or some such thing.
Correct.
That's
yes.
the thing I'm kind of
No, it's very good to bring that up, because that is very true. There are some grants out there where that, there is a lot of onus put on the individual who is applying for these grants, and so it's a great question. So that's a question that I'll definitely dive into a little bit more, but for the most part, there's not like a legality in enforcement.
Thanks for waiting for me.
Sir.
Are we allowed to combine one grant with another? Because it's a good idea to put a grant with the idea for the pit, but we do have a DRI grant thing in place. Would one cancel out the other? No, we are allowed to use that to.
I'm interested in that 10-year thing too.
Of course.
Only because we're talking about the cemetery and land that was cleared to put plots on, which we're not doing. But I wouldn't want to see us plant a bunch of trees there, and then 8 years from now, they want to put plots and cut the trees down again.
Right.
So that's the information we need.
Yeah.
Yep, I'd be happy to kind of dive into that a little bit more for you guys. From my knowledge and where it stands right now is that it would be like, man, we really wish you didn't do that. That's pretty much all we could do. But I'll definitely do my due diligence and get that information for you guys.
Other than that, I think it's a good deal.
I know that Cousin Millar sent a list of like FEMA buyout properties, and I have a list myself of those with their tax numbers.
Yeah.
And I have mapped them out, but I can send that.
Absolutely, we would love it. I mean, the biggest thing is the approval. And the biggest thing we need would be approval, and then us, verifying it to be a good site, and also if it's something that's able to be maintained. And it's pretty cut and dry at that point.
So you need the list of sites by next Friday, right?
Yes, I'd say a list of sites by next
Before our
Friday.
next meeting.
And before would be better, maybe as soon as at your earliest convenience, just so I can look through them and do some sifting and stuff. But by next Friday, I'd say maybe Thursday at the latest, so I can actually send that information to the Upper Susquehanna Coalition so they can check out the section.
Fred, did you have, I thought you were trying to say something.
No, I mean, I've talked to her for quite a while, and we come to agreement on some of the trees where they could be planted and where I didn't want them planted.
Yeah, and it makes sense, what matters the most, I mean, trees won't survive if you distance them. And so the most important.
We can't plant hardwood trees in the berms, a 4-foot berm without destroying the village property.
Yeah, let's not.
We can't do that no more.
Little trees.
Yeah, little trees.
Yeah,
But
I
we
mean,
talked,
and
I would love a bunch of little trees.
species selection is very important.
yeah.
So
Very.
that would be a part of the planting plan too, figuring out what species are gonna do best in those sites. We don't wanna be mowing over a bunch of black walnuts all the time, or making like
Okay,
We have,
can't put much else out.
Okay.
we have sites, on Miller Beach.
Is that something we have to pay from FEMA?
I think we might, but I can look into.
My only thing is the list of sites. We have approval for next Thursday. Unless we want to give that approval to somebody like Brad or something.
We have, like Laura just said, she has it also, she can send it, but we have a list of all the lots that the village owns.
I was just looking through the box today, and there's a list right in this room.
Yay. Yeah, I mean, for us.
We can make a copy of it and give it to her and that's fine.
Yeah, I also have a list that has the tax numbers of everything and our village owned properties, that's like the cemetery site and the, along the creek and stuff too.
Yeah.
And Marvin Park, if we have more green space, then we think about Livingston Park too, the ball fields and along the creek. Yeah, we could plant more of a riparian buffer along the creek.
We want it all, get
I
ready.
love that. Yeah, more trees the better, I'll never, I'm biased in my in my work here, so. You guys know my side.
Is this grant also, it covers the tree, the planting, the soil testing, things like that? How about if we were to put trees downtown, some small saplings or something between the curb and back to businesses? Does it also cover like the steel grates that would go around the tree? Or would that be our expense?
I think it might, like if it was like a shelter, like a protection for the tree, then I believe it would. I think, that's something I know that you said a steel, what kind of protection are you talking about?
It's a metal creek, it goes around the cribbing of the sidewalk, it's a hole already for a tree.
Oh, I see, okay.
Yeah, and then you put steel grate around it like he's saying, and it helps it grow straighter and wider.
Yeah, I think
And
that might.
something to that effect, we still wouldn't want a ugly tree like that anyway in the village of the district, of that business district.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Something
that's
smaller and makes it look pretty is one thing, but we can't have pin oaks, maples and all that stuff in a berm.
Of course.
It just doesn't work.
Of course, yeah.
Get the idea, we want the whole 150.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure that there's plenty of opportunity in the village, and we'd be happy to abide by that too, and anything like, more, the whole purpose of it is to create more green space in urban communities, and so the more opportunities there are, the more plants are available, we'd be able to make it happen.
So, say that again, and I don't know how we're gonna do this, or if we're gonna give somebody authority or whatever, pretend it's Fred. And I'm gonna, once again, boy, it would be nice if we could put a whole bunch of trees, because we've cut down a lot of trees, the berms are what they are, we know that, and there's probably more trees that need to come, what would be nice.
There's a lot of trees.
If we could put a lot of little trees in the berms are.
I agree.
Ones that aren't gonna destroy.
And another thing we need to look at is that no trees above utility lines,
Oh, right.
because they just butchered them.
Tree and green infrastructure.
Yeah. I think it's a good idea.
So do we want to make a motion to support this and give Francis power to?
It's awful, no, I'm not saying we don't want to not support it, just, look this over and say, oh, here now, boy, soon.
And I can also provide you guys the website and the, eligibility map and all that stuff in a nice, pretty email so you can access it later for your own information. And, just to have that knowledge, easily accessible.
Rusty?
Fred, do you want, you have lots of things to do, you want to take on this?
I would talk to them, yeah, not a problem. Not a problem.
And if you guys have any other questions that pop up outside of this board meeting, you're more than welcome to contact me at the district at any time. It's an open door, open conversation. So if anything like wakes you up in the middle of the night and you have some thoughts, please talk to us about it, because we're willing to make it work if it means that we can get some more green space in the village.
And whatever Heather and I talk about throughout this whole thing, I will bring to the board to let you know what's going on. Keep you up to date.
If we do this, and we'll try to do it by next Thursday, and blah, blah, would you try to keep as many folks informed as where you are?
I only know what she knows.
But I'm just saying, yeah, talk to the mayor, talk to, yeah. But even though I said I would like to make it a proper place, you want to do it now, Mike?
We'll do it now.
I'd like to make a motion that we, I don't know if allow is the correct phrase,
Support.
Title soil, water, and all the other things we have to go out for grant for us for
Planting.
yeah,
We're gonna call it, this is a great word, but.
Core reforestation grant.
good.
There you go.
And then further, our superintendent of public works will make the decisions where it will be located. Is that enough?
I think that's enough.
I'll second.
Any discussion on the motion? The board? Russ?
Yes.
Yes.
Dave? Yes. Charles?
Yes.
Yes. We'll go with Fred.
What am I doing?
Keep us posted.
Oh.
That'll work for
Okay, give me those sites whenever you guys, send them my way as you start thinking about them, and we'll see what we can do.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're still in public comment.
Sure, I got a minute, you got a minute for me.
So this is the fair board.
Sorry to make you wait.
Wright County Fair Board, I got a full page here for you. Couple of things, I wanna go over a lot of things really fast. I will make it as fast as I can. Mike and I talked here, as well as Charles, you asked for cameras. Back when we pre-Fred, we had an agreement with the village that we'd put cameras down there, we'd split the cost. As you know, that cost was incurred by all of us at the Fair Board, the village never came up with their half of the money. So we did that, and then we've added more cameras down. Charles asked for 2 more at the end of the grandstands down there facing the park. I don't know if your cameras are up and working right now. I've lost connection, I can't get on, but the cameras are up and working. There's one of the 2 is up, the other one goes up tomorrow. The cameras on the bathroom, whoever mounted them down there, they mounted them ass backwards, so they're looking for trees. So, no trees in the fairground.
On the new bathroom?
Yeah,
We can fix it.
Tyler's on it. At least he told me it was, so we'll see what happens. We brought a lot to the fairgrounds in the last year. We brought the drive-through dinosaur thing. We brought the pre-meet. We brought that other truck thing down there. I had somebody wanted to do a little drive-through lights show this year. I was a little bit late on the go on that. I might get that for next year. As well as we brought the circus down there this year for the village. We are trying to bring in entertainment to the village. Hook or by crook, we're trying to do it. I have another monster truck show, not like the 2 previous scumbags for words. This guy, you can go to his website, you can look him up. He's booking shows right now down in Maryland. It's $10 a seat. He doesn't sell hamburgers, he doesn't sell hot dogs, he doesn't sell toys and trinkets. He's a straight up. So my conversation with the village is, I'm charging him $650 to use my half of the facility. I'd like the village to charge him $650 to use your half of the facility. If you tell me $20,000, he's going away. It's like, I can't do that. Because I know that's what the previous guy did, but he also walked away with, $250,000 when he was done, from what he did.
Probably more than that.
Then that's yeah. So this gentleman I'm working with now, he will work with Fred to make sure that everything is copacetic before he leaves. Anything he tears up, he will put back. Get a little better feeling about this guy. Like I said, I wasn't involved with the last 2, but I'm trying to bring some better things down to the village.
So we do have, and it's in my email somewhere, I can find it, it's probably on my computer, a contract from the last guy, which obviously the number is negotiable as far as the price.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of language in there about put stuff back the way it was.
Right.
That might be a good thing.
That's right. So I have a date for the show. It's the weekend of September 13th. So it's later in the year. Doesn't interfere with our fair and other things that we have. So I've given him a tentative date, or he has booked one with us tentatively. I'm waiting for you guys to say yes, no, maybe so.
So
Yeah, if you can give me that contract,
we should start working on it.
so I get nothing out of it other than $650. Our fair board gets nothing more than $650 to cross our property, the plan is use our parking lot, have people walk down to the building.
Eric, you get a lot out of that. You get to work hundreds and hundreds of hours for the community.
Not me. Not me. Yes. So after we get him set up, I'm gonna find him a hot dog vendor and a Coke vendor, and then there you go, there's the people. While we're on the subject of.
Does he want people, like?
He wants food trucks, vendors down there, which will all be regulated by the county health department. So,
Local food trucks?
local, that's what we're looking for. I mean, I consider Binghamton, Elmira local
Right.
for food trucks, you know, so if you know anybody, tell me, 'cause I don't food truck it.
That's what I was thinking we should talk about, in case anybody's got ideas or connections for us to do.
He won't be running the food truck thing and making the money.
No.
That'll be us or others or you or whatever.
He's going like this, I'm bringing in my trucks, we're gonna build ramps, we're gonna smash things, we're gonna jump things, we're gonna put on, I think, 3 shows and 2 shows, 3 on Saturday and 2 on Sunday or vice versa, I don't know, but it's a whole weekend thing.
And you said, what's his website?
Yeah, it's www.monstertruckbash.com. Look him up. I think he brings like 6 trucks in conversation. He seems to be on the level, but I went, no. I said, the village got screwed the last time you assholes came in. He goes, that's not me. That's that guy out of Buffalo and this other guy. I'm like, all right, then let's have the conversation. I tried to vet him as much as I could. How do you vet somebody from Roanoke, Virginia? It's over the phone and email, so.
Yeah, we should talk to them, because there's usually requirements for, like EMS and fire and that kind of stuff.
Absolutely, 100%.
Which is all in that contract that we had with the other guy.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we've talked about doing on this is a bit of research ourselves, so we would try to find out how do you do it, the last 4 places, that kind of stuff, just.
Yep. Oh, absolutely, and he's got places that he has done in the past, and he places he's booking now. He's in Tennessee doing, he goes, I keep going back to the same towns because they want me back. So he must be doing something right if they're letting him back.
And that was advice, like when we were talking to the last guy, I called the arena and the Binghamton Mets, little Rumble Ponies, and said, how do you guys do this? Because we're a village and we don't book entertainment. And that's what they said. They said, go research it, see what they're charging, and see what they're making.
Right. I think it's $10 or $15 a seat and just across the board. Because I want family friendly, family oriented. So, there you go. And again, we get nothing out of it. We're charging them $650 to walk across our yard and use our house down there if they would like. Speaking of the bleachers, the grandstands, this is our next article. We have to start having conversation of New York State Department of Labor is not going to let those lower bleachers pass inspection in the very near future. They're about done. For the last 3 years, he's like, Eric, those bleachers gotta go. Ones that are in front of the grandstands. So start thinking about, since you're getting such a deal on trees, planning another grant to go out and buy some bleachers for out front. Because it is coming, and they are going to be condemned. And I'm surprised they're not yet, but they will be condemned. The last 3 years in a row I've dealt with him, he's like, Eric, do something. I'm like, Fred, do something.
I'll pull it out of my pocket.
Fred replaces boards where he says we need boards, and I give him all that, and you guys always have, but they are not nice. Next article, we have to have a conversation about really quick, the large bleachers that we built down there 4 or 5 years ago. We own them, the Fair Board owns them, we insure them, they're on your property. The question is, who's insuring them? I know I'm insuring them. Is the village insuring them? We don't know this yet. And if the village is insuring it, and they get blown away in a tornado, is the village gonna spend $150,000 to rebuild them? Or are we gonna go buy Fred a new backhoe? So this is the conversation we have to have with the village attorney, with yourselves as a board somewhere down the road, as well as we have the new announcer stand that we built, the announcers booth down there. We funded that, we paid for that, we built that, we are insuring that. You guys are insuring it, we're double insuring. So we need to collectively come together and have a conversation about that. So just for you guys down here. As you know, we own Sackmore, well, not Sackmore Lane, but Russell Elm Street in front of the school. Mike, you and I had a conversation, we had a little homeless problem down there. It's under my understanding that that man never came back because I threatened him with all kinds of bodily harm because he was breaking in our buildings down there. So we definitely have a homeless problem. So the rest of the board knows that from the old school bus garage all the way down to the fairgrounds, we own that road. And we have a couple of activities going down there this year, and the road will be closed. We will put in a bypass for people to come across our driveway to get back into the park, but that back section of that park will be closed, the whole section. It's a secured, they have, let's say,
Condominium, they do.
the pokey stabby people,
Jousting.
jousting and things like that.
They came last year.
They were here last year, they are coming back again, but yeah, man, they throw axes and arrows and. Yeah, so it's gonna be a closed event, just, they're a family. I mean, these people think they're part of some kingdom.
Oh, yeah, oh, I remember them coming.
So just an FYI, there will be some closures on that road and that's our road.
Eric, can I ask you a question?
Mhm.
So you bought that old soccer field or whatever we call it there.
Yep.
Does that, where yours ends and Corey Railgate or whoever Railgate starts, is that where your road starts or?
Our road goes all the way to the end of the village street, Elm Street,
Which is
the end of the Stackmore building.
house. Yeah, to the Stackmore building.
Yep.
You go past,
Yes.
past the bus garage.
Yes.
What do you say, last house?
The last house.
The last house
Right
is.
here, where he starts.
That's where we
We
start.
used to own all that.
Yeah. Okay.
And we don't have a problem. You just need to know that once in a while, we're gonna have to shut that down, the rear entrance to the park for that. For the activities that we have.
Caution on that is to work with people who are on that road.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're not shutting the whole road, just the entrance at the back of the park.
Okay.
We're gonna, so where we have that drive-through, when we bring in people from Main Street into the park, we bring them in there to park that way, we'll just open that, reverse it the other way to get back. So everybody, they'll just drive on that fence line and get back through.
There's not much traffic.
You would be surprised at how many people go up and down through there. You would be surprised. There's a couple hundred cars a day go through there.
Not much going on at the old schoolhouse.
No. But there's a lot of people. Another thing we need to have a conversation about, and I hope somebody's taking notes. The back corner of that property down there behind our property at the fairgrounds, you guys have a piece of property that the town at one time had a big dirt pile down there. You guys piled some snow down there, we went to get it. I'd entertain you guys have a conversation with us to donate that to us, so we can seal off that back corner. Where's the biggest problem in the village? Is the homeless people that are piling up back there because nobody sees them. You guys had some trucks parked down there last year, some 3 guys, and their trucks just absolutely got mutilated with all the copper that they stole out of them. It's a kind of a landlocked corner for you guys, and you might want to have a conversation and think about donating us that, I don't know, it can't be more than 3/4 of an acre back in there. My ultimate intention is to fence that whole thing off for security of the fair. So just something to put in your thoughts.
This is not about that, it's not about that exactly, but it's about the homeless problem, et cetera, about all of it.
Yeah.
We couldn't do the foundry because of not being able to establish ownership. That corner and all the property along the creek that we own are technically village parks, so we actually can take care of, and we intend to take care of, we will take care of, hopefully. It's all a problem, but that little sliver of the homeless piece of that. So that we have province over and our police can take care of that. So that is
Right.
just a piece of.
So where I came from with that was if we squared that off, that would help us in our security of securing that facility fairly, because we're very vulnerable down there. So no matter what, be it somebody in a vehicle, we had a problem last year, so we're trying to tighten up our soft spots down there. That would also allow us to run right along that dike with the fence to keep people from getting in and out that aren't supposed to be there and kind of securing the whole situation back there. And that would also allow us to put our posted signs up, so anytime the village catches somebody, the village PD is down there, oh, I'm sorry, there's a posted sign, you're going to jail. You are now trespassing. We just had an incident last week while I was out of town. Somebody broke into one of the horse people's buildings down there twice. So it is an ongoing problem. We do have cameras, but we're not catching them. If you saw the mess I had to deal with in one of our trailers down there, you'd be as livid as I was, because I had to clean up what that young man left. And you can just use your imagination of what he left for me in a bucket.
I've cleaned up a lot.
Mm-hmm. I said he took off on a run. He had the tracks. He never stopped running. Just, I think that's about the most of it. That was a lot of crap. But we are working on bringing some more programs into the village. We will try to keep you guys up to speed. I know we worked with you guys with the dinosaur people when they came through. I didn't bring you guys up to speed on the circus because they were setting up in our parking lot. I didn't think you gave a crap whether they were there or not. That I heard it upset a few people, but I'm sorry. Yeah.
One more time, we would really appreciate you tell us everything that you're planning and doing, because we've said this a million times and it's the truth. We want to be good partners with you, and part of that, it's from both, we got, both ways have to do that. So we want to know what you're planning, even if it's just on your property, we want to know that.
Yep.
And
we'll let you know.
Thank you.
Yeah, I guess that's it. The biggest thing we have to have a big conversation is who owns what down there, and have a conversation about what do we do if there's a catastrophic failure down there? Because we spent all that money, and if those bleachers blow you, if you guys say, oh, we're gonna insure them, I drop it off on mine, thing blows away in a tornado, again, you buy him a backhoe, what's that gonna help for me? We've spent a lot of money. We've probably dumped over $700,000 into that fairgrounds in the last 10 years. Anywhere from the bleachers to the announcer stands to the event center in the middle. We just spent $120,000 on more portable bleachers, $100,000 on a bandstand that we have down there, plus everything we've done into the barns. We're working right now to run another water line into our barn. Before your flood mitigation stuff starts, I got another barn to build down there. So thank God we're agricultural and you can't spend it. But yeah, we are intending on building another 80 by 125 riding arena to go between the cattle barn and the riding arena for in the winter for off inclement weather. The kids can still run their horses inside of there. They won't be able to do barrel racing, but they can do all their shows. And the ultimate goal is to be able to go in there to do their shows for the 4-H animals, because we are growing every year. We're out of cattle space, so we need more space. So I'm working on another grant from the state to build that next barn down there. So when that comes, I don't know, I guess we'll tell somebody down there that we're doing it. We're telling them to get it done. So.
Is there a cost for the price for the cameras that you install?
We're just gonna do it. Because Fred and the village works so well with us down on the fairgrounds with all the things that we do, and they do. One hand's kind of washing, the other down there is kind of how we're leaving it.
Well, Merry Christmas.
And I'm not throwing them under the bus by any means, but we did go get a grant for all that money.
Well, on behalf of the board, I'd like to thank you, because I know I mentioned it to you and it helps us out a whole heck of a
So
lot.
check your cameras, see if they're up. They should be up.
Yeah, I need to get a link for that.
Okay, I'll have to, Tyler's working on mine.
Okay. Whenever you get that, just include me in
I
that.
fixed mine too.
Okay,
Mine too.
It used to work.
we got a new server late last summer. They changed some of the programming on it, and a bunch of us lost it, but Tyler's still on it. You can see it. Everything is still recorded. If you have an issue or you need it, you can get it.
Yeah, and I can see stuff and I can be down there faster than a frog in a hot rock.
Yeah, there you go. So, and we're same Same time, same place next year for our fair as well. So we got that all done, and we got Betty Gillette coming, we got a better rodeo coming this year. Sire Stakes is gonna be on Tuesday, so it'll be a boatload of horses running around that track. So we have a lot of put back together work down there this spring. What's that? Yeah, 3 days on Tuesday, that's our family day. So.
What week is it there?
August 5th to 9th, I think. Tuesday through Saturday.
Tuesday through Saturday, 5th through the 9th.
I'll actually be here this year.
I'm sorry?
I'll actually be, last year I was on vacation when the fair week was.
There you go. Yeah, Tuesday's our free day, and that's where we're doing the Sire Stakes. The horses running down there, and then riding start on Wednesday. Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Mike? One more item, I know I'm saying two. But this stuff is all important, and the cameras are one piece, but we talk quite often about the fairgrounds and what we're gonna do and about security and with, with everything that's going on and homeless and everything else. So that's an ongoing situation that we're looking at, because the cameras aren't enough, but we're gonna have to do various things.
I can remedy that whole fair problem with it. Just donate, you guys keep the pool, the bathroom up there, just and the skate park, give us the rest, and we'll maintain it from there. Just, you wanna solve the problem, we can fix it. Maybe.
I have a question. This local law, the public hearing, is that gonna make it harder for people to do repairs and stuff on their house?
Be easier, hopefully.
It will make it easier, it should. Can I jump in?
Yeah.
If we follow the law now, every little thing you do, every tiny little thing, any building permit for anything, you would have to go before the zoning board of appeals and get a special use permit to do it. We've not enforced that for ever and ever, but it's in the law, which also is an irritant to some of us. If there's something in the law that we've never done, or don't intend to do, then take it the heck out of the law.
Okay, so that's what Nate was talking about a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Right now, the way the law is, every single building permit needs a special use permit, if it's in the floodplain.
Insane.
No, it doesn't, and they said we don't do it, but that's what we're getting out of that.
Yeah, they should want people to fix it.
Even a roof on the fire station, that's 50 feet in the air, we have to get it.
It's crazy.
Anything else from the fair board?
Unless you have anything else for us, we're in good shape. Like I said, I can't say enough that Fred and his crew last year, when we had rain, they really came down and helped us. We needed a couple truckloads of millings, and Fred wasn't there, and his guys were like, yeah, whatever you need, and it's always whatever you need. So they really help us, and in return, we try to help Fred with anything he needs from us. Not going into too much details of what we do, but some things just doesn't.
We don't want to know everything.
It's all good, but no, and we appreciate what the village does for us down there. You guys do plow that road down there, even though it's not our road, but you guys do look after it. The village, the police department, constant contact with them. They're calling me all the time. Hey, Eric, I got a problem. I got an open door. I got this. I got that. And they're really working really hard with us. There was a little problem down there at one of the pavilions, and we had a camera issue, and we got that fixed for you really quick, so everybody's back up and running. So you should, and I will talk to Tyler tomorrow
Include me in.
and see if we can't get everybody hooked back up.
I got the app, I just don't have to write.
Yeah, it's on an app, and you should be able to hit it, say fair, and it's there's nothing there. It's a spinning wheel of death.
Okay. As far as the bleachers, so they're really bad shape. Is it just the seating or the structural?
It's the whole thing. It's steel, it's rotted, it's non-ADA compliant. I can go on with what the help with, and it's the New York State Department of Labor that comes in and looks at that.
I do leave every year.
Yeah. And he's really a nice guy. He's not fussed on us about it. He's not really trying, but he's like, the day's coming, and it ain't far out that I'm gonna have to say,
Definitely a safety factor there.
absolutely.
Yes, it is.
And it's that lower set in front of the big grand.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
We didn't talk about the big grandstand, which we don't want to talk about.
Now, hold on, let's back it up. The big grandstands last year, we went and put all smoke detectors through there. just, we could have some kind of a forewarning if there's ever an issue down there. Exit signs in there, yeah.
We had to by his law, by law.
So our next goal, one of our other goals is, and I don't know if I should tell you or we should just do it, is that grass between the blacktop and the grandstands. We need to take that grass out and put blacktop in there and slope it away, because that whole grandstand underneath there fills with water every time it rains, because there's no gutters. And I know she's like, you need greenery to let the water go down, but the water keeps going down into our floor and, well, your floor, and tearing things up, and we have to deal with that. So one thought is either more topsoil in there, or, blacktop between the two. And I'm sure the fair board would come up with money to make that happen, but we've come to you before we just put it.
Gutters,
Maybe gutters, but.
Scratch off the trees where they were gonna
But
put
the thing of it
there.
is though, I mean, it rains there and that whole field is nothing but mud. That's the problem. Where's the water gonna go to? Up where they're gonna trash it again? Yeah, so.
Yeah, but it's not in our building.
That's true, but that is true.
Alright, I'm done talking. I'm sorry I took up too much of your time today. But
We're on the monster truck thing.
there were things that needed to come up, and I will you get with me and I'll get with him and we'll get that together. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll dig up the contract and get it, and we'll start talking.
Alright, I'm gonna go home and see if my cow had another cat, so.
All right.
It's Kevin Lee. Thank you for your time.
Good seeing you.
Good, Dan.
Yeah. We're gonna do it. I just gotta have the contract. It's all good. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. That's cool.
All right. So I guess that crosses off invited guests too, because I told him to come.
Well, there goes that, a 1 hour meeting we were gonna have
I know.
tonight.
Department heads, get you guys up. Sure.
I only have one thing, but,
I see your rose a little note.
urgent importance, I gave a sheet to everybody and follow along. Right now, quickly upon us, we're running into EQ tank issues. That's where our wasting and haulers dump into before we send it processing to the rest of the plant. Since phase 2, which we were warned about, it's been building up with freeze grit rags, but much quicker than it was predicted by any of the engineers. They said 5 to 7 years. We're going on year 4, 4.5. Recently, and this is kind of what clued us in, our mixer actually has become blocked. It looks like the Martian landscape in there. There's stuff kind of climbing up the walls from repeated filling, dumping. Anyway, it makes our gravity belt thickener difficult to use because we're dealing with heavy solids and then water and heavy solids and water, and it's crazy. Yeah. In the meantime, we looked this up on Google and we contacted about a dozen professional tank cleaning firms around the country to see what they can do. Out of the dozen, only half of them even replied to us. And then we've gotten conversations with them, and as soon as, we didn't receive callbacks after a while, as soon as we told them and gave them dimensions of the tunnel. So that continues to be a major stumbling block. So we finally did find one. Jeff Duke and I have been working with this company called Bristola Tank Cleaning. They're out of Iowa. We've talked over Teams and emails and been trying to figure out getting the logistics of the job done. They've been fantastic with us so far. They plan on issuing a proposal, breaking everything down this week, and then we can get into further discussions. And then when that happens, I'll try to loop the trustees in, or as many as possible, so they can know what's going on. If all that worked out and we agree to some kind of contract with them, I would go to the public referendum, use capital improvement reserve for the funding, because they didn't mention it would be north or south of $150,000 to do the preliminary job. To avoid further issues, if we set up something every 3 years or so, they said the cost would be probably half of that for follow-ups. Because I won't get too much into it, because they have a patented process. It's humanless cleaning. They have robots that go in and do this stuff. But as soon as I find out, they've been really good at, as soon as we contact them, they'll contact us the same day, stuff. So I expect this proposal to come out probably tomorrow.
Okay.
And I'll get that looped in and try to go from there.
Mike?
Yeah.
I had a couple of questions, and Dirk, you already answered one of them, which is this a one-time deal? How often does this thing, do you expect this thing to clog up? To how many times will we have to do it? That kind of stuff.
When Thermal Process Systems put this in, they said probably 5 to 7 years, because there were going to be escapes from our septic receiving station. It's happening much faster, probably because the kind of haulers we have. And the engineers cheaping out on our removal system up front. But we're gonna try some other stuff too, but said maybe every 3 years or so.
And you already said that this company has inferred that further ones could be half of that, 100.5 or something like that. Yeah.
Part of their patented system is, I don't know if you've ever seen, but our tanks have this 3-foot kind of, they call it a man hatch, that is bolted in. They would take and remove that, and they add on their own patented device, which that is a major part of the first cost. But that will be ours. We purchase it, it would stay there. That way they can come in later and they have this 20-foot long device that they hook onto it. A robot goes in and does the actual cleaning.
And of course, they understand the tunnel, so that's.
Yes, we're currently in kind of talks. They've done Google Earth and looked, and we've been talking about different things, and they're trying to devise a plan that we would work with them on.
Thanks.
Can you tell me how long that they would estimate that project to take to install?
Their estimates are, there's a mobilization phase, which is, they said that was probably a week, which that would be them getting all their stuff here. Then once they got all set up, they said, hopefully, worst case scenario is 5 days.
So you said they did measurements and whatnot, so all the equipment that they need for the project can fit through the tunnel?
No, that's what we're in talks about. The business director that we've been talking to, he's told me their owner will not say no to a job. So they devise ways of getting around that. Their tunnel, they said they could possibly, and this is all preliminary, but they could possibly park their truck that they need out on our access road. And then they would use hoses and boosters to get where they needed to go. Where most people would just have this tractor trailer that they can't get through there, so they gave up on even saying anything about the job.
Anybody have any more questions? I guess we'll learn more soon.
You can't get Lockheed Martin to test those helicopters and bring some of that stuff.
Right.
Training there.
We've talked about the possibility of
drones.
Some of their stuff is loaded on flatbed tractors. Trying to get an okay from the powers that be to go on 86 and crane their stuff in. So that's still not out of the question, but
Good luck.
yeah.
Good luck with that one.
Drive it down the hill.
And you also mentioned earlier to me that this company also does work in the tri-state area as well. So if we can coordinate
Yeah,
them coming here at a time they're coming for somebody else and work it in the schedule, that could save us a substantial amount as well.
Yeah, I imagine a lot of that's travel costs to get here from Iowa.
yeah, they told us that they do have a job coming up in Genesee County. I don't know when, but they said if we can get things working and between the two areas, coordinate it, they can knock off like the staging fees, some of it, or share it, or whatever.
Depending what kind of equipment they bring, I bet travel here and there is a lot
Yeah.
of the bill. I'm surprised nobody local-ish kind of does this stuff, but whatever.
For the homeless people to work.
Yeah, right.
We got skills.
That'd be an opportunity.
Thank you.
Got a
Thank you.
baby at home.
Got skills.
Yeah.
Have a good evening.
All right, anybody have anything else for Kurt?
Thank you for that research.
Yeah, thank you.
My front to the camera, because I fell in the parking lot. My backside is
Oh,
So,
You can't walk too low.
when Freddie insulted.
yes,
No,
I
that's
already
fine.
yelled at him.
Yeah.
So 841 is back in service. It's already ran a couple calls. We had 23 calls in the month of January. We did a live NICEAG line demo at New York Valley Fire Department. We did our annual OSHA here. We also hosted a New York State Fire Academy class, lightweight construction awareness, on 4 separate dates totaling 12 hours. The week had 4 participants and we had 20 throughout the county attend. I had Tom Kelly and Richard Van Hall complete a gas leak detector meter technician training. When one of our gas meters malfunctioned in November, we had to send it out to, I think it was Indiana, and it was out of service for about 2.5 months. So now these guys will be able to order the parts, have the parts in 2 days, and have it back in service. So it's going to save, in the long run, time, and we don't have to pay parts because they're volunteers. Perfect. Tom Kelly also conducted a fire prevention class at Long Meadows Apartments. About 40 of their 200 so odd people showed up for that.
Good.
And I haven't gotten the final bill for the ladder truck yet. She's hoping she'll have it done by the end of this week.
How many hot dogs did they burn during the class?
I don't know. Yesterday was a cheeseburger
Oh, geez.
at 8 o'clock at night.
So
I
we
was
need
listening to the scanner.
we don't need a fire prevention class at the,
We need a cooking
we
class.
need a
Cooking class.
fire alarm, we need a fire alarm prevention class.
I've talked to, isn't it first name is Chuck? I don't know his last name, unfortunately. He's the head maintenance person there. I asked them if they can switch their alarms because right now their smoke is where the heat should be and the heat is where the smoke should be. So if they can reverse those locations, it'll ease up a lot of our calls. So what's happening is the steam is hitting that smoke and setting it off.
Okay. Yeah, well, that's good info for them, I'm sure.
Yes.
And everything's in service.
And everything is in service.
And you guys have been busy.
Yes. That's all I have.
Outstanding.
Anybody have anything for us? Thank you as always, everybody.
Thank you. Absolutely.
We got EMS.
So for the month of January, we had 86 calls, 9 were mutual aid, about 4 or 5 of them were the structure fire. Vehicle wise, everything's working well, no issues. We need to start thinking about our longevity plan for EMS and what we want to do and how we want to do it. I would like to propose that we increase our billing rates because we haven't talked about it in a few years. And with everything increasing, we need to take some action so we have money to be able to keep ourselves alive and not have to say dip in the general fund, right? So I'd like to propose for our BLS rates, both non-emergency and emergency, increase that to 2,500. Our ALS rates for non-emergency and emergency for the first level would be 4,000. The second level would be 4,500. ALS assist would be 2,500. Treat and release at BLS is 500. Treat and release ALS is 800. 50 per mile. And I also learned that some of the other agencies are doing additional billing for things like auto pulse, bariatrics going outside the village, and lift assist. That I would like to do as well for 400 for the auto pulse, 500 for the bariatric, out of the village is 100, and lift assist would be 200.
Can you repeat all of that one more time, or you have it written down?
Yes.
Yeah, so we have there's a, we can get it on. You have the form that we're supposed to fill in?
Yes.
For-
I have the form as well.
To write it to those things?
Yeah.
Yes, that one. I knew what
This
it
is
looked
the form
like.
that you want.
And I have to actually write them in here.
No, I didn't write them in because I wanted to make sure you guys were in agreement with.
No, yeah, but when we send this in, we fill this in.
Yeah.
Are we still on that? So we've talked, many of us talked about these things. And when we set this up, for whatever reason, we decided we wanted to have our rates be in the middle of the road or low, which actually didn't make any sense. Since our rates are what we're trying to get insurance and Medicaid, Medicare, our rates should be, and that doesn't matter to any regular person. They should be as high as the standard or as high as is logical.
Yes. Now, I didn't go with, so the billing company gave me a whole list of other agencies.
Okay.
And I didn't go with the highest because I didn't want us to be the most expensive. in the world.
Somehow it gets bad publicity, even though it's
Yes,
whatever it is.
but we needed to significantly increase from where we were.
Do we know what we were charging for those? Just for.
Yes, some of them it's double. So we'll do 2,500 for the BLS, 4,000 for the ALS, level 1, level 2 is 4,500, ALS assist 2,500, treat and release for ALS is 800, BLS is 500, 50 per mile. The auto pulse is 400, bariatrics 500, out of the village is 100, and lift assist is 200. Is what I would like to do.
So we need a motion to approve those.
To approve the, no, right,
New rates.
the new rates suggested by the department head.
Any other discussion about the rates?
Need a second.
Charles.
Sorry, I wasn't listening. Thank you, I'm sorry, Mike.
All right, so let's vote on those. Start with Charles. Charles?
Yes.
Rusty?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
And yes. So we'll have to get this form filled out, send it.
All right.
Is that something, Mike, we could revisit, like,
I don't-
3 to 5 years?
We were supposed to revisit that
We're
every
supposed
year.
to do it every
when we set
year.
this up, But we just haven't done it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't done it for like 3 years.
Like revisiting that again.
And
We
we
don't know
were
where the
talking,
cost-
you know,
we
the
don't know
first
where
of the
cost
years.
is gonna be next year, you know?
Yeah, and the first of the year is a great time to revisit it. Because initially, I was just going off by what we were and what I got for an agency or two around the area were. And then they were generous enough to send me the list of what everybody was doing that they've been dealing with. Not everybody, but I think it's everybody, the majority of them. And I really, you know, my proposals were still lower than they should have been. So,
Yeah, they were, I remember the last couple, you know, we did it a couple of times and they were pretty good with sending us the chart of, I don't know where I'm sure there are the other companies that they bill for.
yes.
And I like us doing this
They don't tell you who they are.
now instead of right at budget time. I think this is
Yeah.
a good.
Yes. And the other thing is I don't want us to get behind and be in the red. I'd rather get ahead of it before other things come up and other expenses that we know are going to be coming forward, that kind of stuff. So.
Did you still have the thing or did you give it back?
Well, I just want to know, what's the last thing that's like $700 on the list? Looks like, and that's,
Oh, that was based on the treat and releases, the 5 and the 8, 500 for BLS, 800 for ALS. That was where some people just charge for MVAs and stuff. Yeah, it's this column.
Yep, got it.
And then those four. The other thing we've been having, we had 2 meetings this last week with the volunteers as far as recruitment and retention was the first one, and scheduling was the second one. And of course, we're still struggling with the scheduling. We have some open shifts and that kind of stuff. So we're going to be, working to see what we can do to try and remedy that and fix that problem. So obviously we're at a turning point, so we got to keep it up and do what we got to do to keep the wheels on the bus moving. And then, of course, we still have the sewer backup issues, and another gentleman we have in the room is going to share with me some other issues of other reports he got from Central Station. So we'll see if we can, unfortunately, add more things to the list of items that we know that can be needing attention.
Didn't we have a candidate for a position for?
We have like 7 or 8 candidates. So we were talking, and maybe if you and the young lady that sits next to you would be willing to work with me, and we can go through them and figure out which ones we want to interview and that kind of stuff, that would be
You got my email, just text, so.
fabulous.
Normally it'd be Fran, but Fran is.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's injured, so.
So maybe Terry can help with that, and then other things that come up, we can work on those HR issues as well.
Yeah, and I can look through them too if you need.
So other than that, that's my 60-second report for you. So I will say thank you.
There you go, Mike. Thanks.
Do you want me to fill that?
Fill that in,
Yeah.
and then give it back to me and we'll get it. Brett.
I'll make it short and sweet. You have my report, but there's a couple things I would like to touch with the board. We did attend a 96 safety training, and on truck 32, it's a truck that we want to keep, and I spent $400 or $500, and we repaired the whole box. So it's in great shape now. We undercoated it. We welded new pockets in. But as I've talked to Rusty in the past, that we are in desperate needs of 2 new trucks that I'm going to use chip money from. Remember, you guys said it was all good if I can use that for chips. Just want to let you know, but I was very proud of the guys at the shop that welded it. So Weissman wanted over almost $7,000 to do it. We did it with less than 1,000. So I thought that was it.
We did it?
We did it.
Justin and those guys?
Mark and James did it.
Nice.
We welded the pockets in, and Mark brought his painter in, we painted it.
Nice.
It'll come out really good. So I'm gonna save that truck, and that would be towards the laborers for wood chipping, and the newer ones would be for the salters and the streets. But anyway, up to date on salt, we're roughly between 200 and 250 tons of salt this year so far. And I just ordered another 300 ton. And last but not least, I need to know about the well. What we're doing about the well.
I don't think Nate's written the thing yet.
Right, so it's all, as far as we approved it, but we need an agreement with the fire company.
Fire's waiting for us.
Okay. So Nate, we gotta get that rolling.
Yeah, I've got a draft of it that an associate put together. I just have to review, and then I'll forward it on to the fire chief to send it to the nonprofit.
If I can get that before Wednesday, it'd be great.
Do you have a meeting?
Yeah.
Fire board's Wednesday.
Fire board's Wednesday, Nate, if you go.
Okay, that shouldn't be a problem.
Yes.
When I was at the plant, we were talking about that, and they said that just a well might not do the trick to be able to fill the trucks up. Like you need to have a pump.
Well, that's
or
what part of
something.
the well is, a pump in the well.
So our well is gonna have a pump that will be able to fill the sewer trucks and the
Sewer
street
truck.
sweepers and the fire trucks
Yep.
All truck, any truck.
with speed.
Wow.
Like how
Better than
fast?
paying what we're paying for vanilla.
Bigger pump you get, the faster it goes.
So like,
We won't need speed at that time. That's
So-
just for, it will be used in an emergency.
so
But they
you
do
don't
the
need,
training and all that stuff still.
but at the wastewater treatment plant, they said that this kind of well won't fill their trucks fast enough.
We can't use their well at the sewer plant.
Yeah, but like this new well that we want to
How
put
do they know?
in,
They haven't even talked to me about it. Caucus is putting it in. He says it is, he just puts a bigger pump in, bigger line, and you feed it. We filled up the sewer truck within 45 minutes when we used it here.
Well, Dirk's here. Ask Dirk what he knows or doesn't know.
I wasn't as concerned about that as I was thinking about maybe adding in some kind of storage tank.
Then you gonna put a building over it?
Storage tank where the well would be?
Somewhere. It'd be nice to have it fill up a tank and have it there for emergency uses.
Just throw the valve on it, so right there. I don't understand the deal there. It's gonna have a 2-horse pump in it with an 1.5-inch line, 2-inch line. Throw the valve on and you fill up your truck. I mean, what we're doing for what we're doing it for is still cheaper than what we're paying Veolia for water.
Way cheaper.
Way cheaper.
When I was
And
at
it backflows, so it goes back down into the well.
when I was at the plant, we talked about how like Johnson's Pools and Spas has a pump house over in Kanawha.
Veolia's.
Yeah, and they have an extra pump that makes it a speed pump to fill their trucks. And so if we got like an agreement that like if we could fill
But we
our
still
large,
can't Veolia.
Yeah, I don't want to be trying to.
well, so
I
like
looked into that with Eric.
like if it's going to take so long to fill any of the trucks from our well, and if we actually need to fill our trucks to do service, and like if there's an emergency and we need to fill our trucks faster than
First
an
of all,
hour
emergencies, you use
piece.
hydrants. Second of all, this is just for their practice. And then when they come back after their practice, they can fill up.
Or if we're in, Hunter Valley, we cannot hit the hydrants to fill the trucks now. Right now, we're dropping a hose.
So if you gotta sit there for 15, 20 minutes to fill up a truck, who cares? It's saving us money.
Garden hose?
That's how we filled 841 when it came back. It took about 6 hours.
But that's not going to work for the regular maintenance that like the sewer department trucks got to need to fill up their
We only have
trucks.
one truck, and it's the back truck that we suck out of the catch basins with.
So let
And
me
we
ask
filled it
you.
out of our hoses in the shops.
So we're talking emergency. So Dirk, when we have an you said if we have an emergency, the thought was have a tank in case we have an emergency. What do we do now for the sewer if we have an emergency? We fill it out of a hydrant.
Yeah.
Okay. Can we still do that even?
No.
And then we get yelled at by Veolia for weeks.
Yeah, I know we get yelled at, but sometimes things happen in an
We
emergency.
can, we just gotta get a meter.
You gotta get a meter and everything else, and that's $1,500.
Just for the reader.
If we got if we just did like an agreement with like a mutual agreement with a memorandum of understanding
With Veolia?
with like Johnson Pools and Spas to use their existing infrastructure.
But you're still paying Veolia's water.
Just pay the meter there and not have to
Well, if
install
that's
a
the case,
well
then
and
just
a
use the
pump.
well down at the fairgrounds still. I mean, that's the whole purpose is to not pay Veolia the big money.
You could also put in a holding tank above and use a bigger hose to gravity feed your trucks when you have to.
Yeah, but
Off your well.
It's a holding tank.
I don't know why I need a holding tank when I can just throw the valve in the well.
Right. And a 2 horse is gonna be fine.
Yeah.
I just did the water is. How big
That's
is your street sweeper?
Mayor,
1,000 gallon?
Well, Nate has some.
the village board already authorized this agreement with the fire department.
Correct.
So to me, the only question is whether or not you folks want a storage tank there, in which case I need to draft the agreement to include the ability for you to place a storage tank.
Then we have to put a ship over it. And you got to heat it.
Right, but you can't frozen.
It'll be frozen.
Mike, the whole concept of this well is for a number of needs, and we figured out that that's going to be a good thing for us and a good thing with money. It wasn't to take care of every emergency and every eventuality.
No, it's to fill our trucks when we can fill it, because it costs us nothing versus a lot of money.
Exactly.
As things do or don't work out well with this, we'll have to make alterations. If it turns out for some reason we have to have a tank somewhere or whether, and down the line, then that's what we'll have to do. But
or.
At the moment, we don't have to solve every problem that might come along.
If there's a specific need, I mean, we're filling that truck today somehow, so we got a way to fill it. Hopefully we'll be able to do it cheaper as soon as we get this well done. If we can't, we can't.
Correct.
Because we know it's gonna work for a street sweeper and all the fire trucks. That's a big bill.
That's a big bill. Especially when he fills up every day, every week with a street sweeper in the spring.
And the fire trucks,
2 months.
they take a lot of water.
They take a lot of water.
To give you an idea how deep might be going with this well.
He can't until he starts drilling, until he hits water. He can't give me an absolute.
I like the 2-inch diameter pipe idea. I'm just questioning whether.
Well, it's gonna be a 6-inch, it's gonna be a 6-inch well casing.
Right.
With a 2-inch pipe in it. The one that's over there now is a 10 or a 12-inch that we can't get through it, and it doesn't pump enough.
Right.
It's old, it's been there since.
If he's gotta go deeper, is a 2 horsepower gonna be strong enough?
I mean, I'm not a well guy, I'm just
May
going by
have to
what
jump
Chuck
off.
Talkie
He'll let us
says, and he's
know.
the well guy. So, it'll be a 2-inch discharge, and it'll be a ball valve at the bottom of it, shut the ball valve off, and it floats back down to the bottom of the well, so it doesn't freeze, so we don't have to have a shed over it.
Yeah.
And everything else. And
So,
then,
we
build
need
the
to
road
get
around it.
the agreement finished up, hopefully by Wednesday when the fire board meeting is. So keep on top of that. Anything else? I got nothing. I got a note from the police department. Love note.
Love no.
Good. So I'll read it off here. Joe was on the last meeting. Okay, thank you. I'll sign that.
If you got questions, let me know.
Yep.
Thank you all. Thank you all.
So December calls,
Stay the course.
673, 23 arrests.
Would you start again, Mike? I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. Just calls for December were 673,
Okay,
23 arrests, 30 traffic tickets, 5 parking tickets, 10 motor vehicle accidents, and 1 DWI for drugs. Stop or whatever they do. And then his note at the bottom says the current police exam has been released. At this time, we've canvassed the list and 3 responders from the canvass. They had 3 responses from the canvass. 2 stated they were interested and 1 was not. We will attempt to find 2 qualified applicants to fill the 2 existing cops grant positions that were vacated. We are currently in the process of background checks and we'll have 1 candidate ready for board interviews. She says as of today, but soon.
Can I jump in there for, I haven't checked with you 2 guys because this has been slow moving along. I had to get through some other checks, so anytime now, we need to get together. I'll try to give you a call or Chief Will whenever this gentleman's ready, the latest young guy that they want to hire for the cops grant. And this cops grant stuff is gonna start getting, we don't know how this is gonna play with, that's a federal grant with
Yeah. So
freezes on grants and monies and stuff. We'll have to see.
I talked to Joe a little bit. It is federal money, so there's still on, but
We don't, just.
we gotta figure out what's going on with it.
could be gone at any moment.
Could be, you never know. Depends what he signs tomorrow.
Do it today.
He
So
might be
we're
doing it
gonna
now.
want to interview this guy in the next few days.
No, he's not doing it
Okay. So anyway, that's the update from the police department. Clerk's office, do we have anything?
Yeah, the only thing I'd like to keep bringing up, from the DRI,
Goody.
the wonderful state of New York, they owe us $1,449,782.59. Haven't paid us really since March. So, our whole budget's like 2.5 million, and we've already paid this bill.
Yeah.
So,
We just took out another $2 million.
yeah, we had to take another $2 million loan to pay off the previous loan we took off, so we paid part of that down, but the state,
Most of that's waiting on the budget amendment, so hopefully that breaks a lot of it loose.
Can our lawyers start a lawsuit against
It's the state for interest that we're paying.
Yeah, right. Oh, yeah, we're paying a ton of interest, well, except I haven't been investing the money, so we're not as bad. The new interest rate we got was 4%, which I didn't think was too bad.
No.
But, I mean, just to me, it's ridiculous that they can't pay their bill, but but they can tell us what to do about everything else.
Another, I guess, clerk's office-y kind of thing. Remember I've been talking about that I had IT checking out this setup in here to try and get us a better microphone and stuff. So they finally got me a proposal. No, not 18,000. It is $1,732. Supposedly that'll fix all the problems in the world. It includes a new microphone, a new computer behind the TV, because apparently that's a lot of our issue why we go off and come back on. So some kind of a controller and a video thing to get better video or something, I don't know. So, do you want me to go ahead with this or not?
What's this, where now cameras and actually can sense who's talking and zooms in on that?
I don't think so, but it's definitely a way better microphone. They go mounts on the ceiling.
Enhancing this?
Yes. 1732 is the quote. And most of the price is the computer to go behind the TV.
So what do we have behind it now?
There's a little computer, but it's
So it's
apparently not very
It's
powerful.
a better computer to go behind the TV, yeah, because $1,700 for a microphone, is that?
No, the microphone's 500, but the computer's 6. Jeez.
Can I see that?
Yeah.
Email? Thanks.
So he came and looked at the room and measured it. And
That's not bad.
Yeah.
Labor and
What was the
everything.
total then?
like 1732.
Who is it?
It's the county.
1,700.
1700.
The county's
Don't we have
doing,
like ARPA money?
1,700.
this is the county that would be doing this for us?
ARPA money
Under
is
$2,000?
but we got money somewhere. I'm not worried about that.
We ended up with $1,600. We didn't use it, but
This
we
is
just, we didn't, can we still allocate it?
I don't know.
It's just more of the fabulous savings we're gonna have when we go with the county on all of our IT stuff, yeah.
I mean, that's, all that stuff's coming from Amazon, and I don't think they're charging us to put it in, so.
So they're taking care of the business.
That was just, I told him I didn't know what to buy, so he came and looked at everything and said, this is what you buy.
Are they not even charging us to do it?
No.
We
No,
don't
because
have-
it's not, I mean, it's, they put
Yeah.
a thing in the ceiling and run a cable, it's not.
Any of those products coming from Mexico or Canada?
Well, they might be, I'm gonna buy them like yesterday, I don't know.
Mike, what do
That's
you
on-
rec,
That's on hold, both of them now.
what do you
Both of them
recommend,
now?
Mike?
I would
I
recommend we
heard
do it,
Mexico was on.
Yeah.
and then if we have issues, we can say, hey, we did what you said, come fix our issues.
Okay,
Don't we already have a IT agreement with them?
We do, but not, I mean, it's for, like, computers and internet and stuff. So.
we've done any of the agreement except the,
Good.
except the offer of the 1732 moving to the agreement with the county for the repairs. Is that about right? Is that about
Is that a
right?
motion?
Yeah, I'm just making a motion to say about right.
It's 1731 something, so yeah, 1732.
17, maximum 1750, maximum 1,800, whatever we want.
I'll put it.
1,800, maximum 1,800 move. And you know the rest, Rodney.
And I think, I talked to him about the computer. So that computer, since we're buying it and it's not a county computer, we may be able to have like a generic login. So that I don't have to come start every planning board meeting and zoning board meeting and OHPC meeting. And
Oh, no, we want you here.
I do come now.
Yeah, well, that would be good.
George, you second that, right?
I second that.
That's right.
There, any other discussion about that? So we're thinking about that to try and get it more,
User friendly.
yeah, user friendly for the people that are using the room. So that's hopefully part of the plan. Rusty.
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Dave? Yes. Charles?
Yes.
And yes. Hopefully we'll have better recordings that you can hear when you watch them on YouTube. All right, that's all I got for department stuff. Communications. I got nothing. For my file. Yeah, I'm not. Old business, I put this stuff on here just to talk about it. The traffic light. Has the parking traffic committee come up with any sort of?
Well, interestingly enough, Mr. Mayor, this thing that we got from the MTS before, and their analysis and their recommendation is interesting because it's similar to the recommendation of the traffic committee, which is that Main Street is a thoroughfare, the other street is a side street, and there's a number of things in there, but generally it says that should flow and the side street should not, which is what our recommendation was, whether we do it with a red light or with stop signs or however we decide to do it. This is assuming we don't spend the money to replace the light, make it.
And did they just study that? I don't remember.
When was this done? Did everybody have this?
I don't know.
No.
Oh, good.
I've seen a lot of their reports. And they
Oh,
invite us to their
this
meeting.
mentions, it must be recent because it mentions 2023 edition of various things, so it has to be up to date. And it says, well, it's very good.
Okay.
It says all the things about what you have to do. It says that, even though the language may not mean anything, it says that when you're going to do these things, there are what they call 9 warrants for traffic control signal, and every one of the warrants shows us that it's not applicable. So
Well, that's good information.
that generally means that the things that are problematic, many streets coming together, or this thing, that thing, none of them apply to our signal. And we can get some copies of this made, or if people would like. But anyway, what was the finding here? And then it talks about observation and blah, blah, recommended removal, blah, 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 blah. But anyway.
Have we looked at, so let's say we keep it how it is now. Have we looked at what that means for the parking on, like, by the movie theater?
Yeah, we've been over there, and the general recommendation, which we haven't yet, we were going to put together a bunch of parking recommendations in the village, was that we take away one spot at the movie theater, because now there's 2 spots, not in front of the theater, 2 spots as you go from the theater to Church Street. We take away that, and it's really 2 1/4, almost 2 1/2 spots. We take away, it's all written down, a number of feet from the street back so you can see better. And then on the other side of the street of Main there to the west, it goes fairly close to Church Street. We recommend that you take away a spot there, maybe 20, 25 feet, to give a better view of looking down the street. So that was a recommendation of
That's been the only negative I've heard of.
Is being able to
Talking
see.
about it, is being able to see.
And so once again, these things are all a compromise between, we don't have enough parking, and as much as you'd like to have everybody be able to see all the way down, you can't do that on these streets because it's too far. So that was our general thought on that. The other direction, you can see pretty far. I can't remember if we were talking about moving, I'd have to look at my notebook. On the side by the Baptist church, it's pretty good. I can't remember if we recommended moving that just a tiny little bit, and the other side of the street is reasonably decent down there as far as it would be practical where it is now. Dave, that's what we had.
Can we do those like next time and get that? I know you got more stuff coming, but just get
Well, we
that
could
considered.
do them without, we don't have to have, we're gonna do some Page and a couple other little places. It's gonna require
It's a local law.
local law, so it'd be a bunch of things, but yeah, it's sure it'd be time to get after it. Nate, you there? I've talked to him about getting some of these things to him.
His picture's back. Guess he's there.
I mean, depending on how much time you want to spend, we can come here first and stuff, or we can go to Nate first and have him write us something and.
I would say let's go to Nate.
Have him
draft
write
it
it.
up.
We're trying to clean up Page Street and Main Street, and I've spoken about that a little bit. There was a couple other places that, I mean, there's lots and lots of places that need stuff, but there were just a few that we were focusing on right now.
Right. Yeah, I'd say if you got a couple ready, let's do them. and
Okay.
It's way better at the
Couple
end
more
of
later.
page now.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Way better.
You're talking about your end where they're coming in.
No, I'm talking about
The other-
where you go on the
Main?
main.
Main,
front
yeah.
page.
You can
Yeah,
actually
my
see.
side.
Okay.
My only concern about that area is the cars parking adjacent to each other in front of the library and across the street. It's like a tight squeeze. Sometimes you come head onto a car.
You're talking about the width of the street and the width of the parking.
Yeah.
Yeah, we, and
That's
of
always
course,
been an issue.
we have that everywhere.
Yeah. Well, that particular
Yeah.
spot, I know.
Oh, yeah.
That one spot is a tight spot.
Yeah, that's really tight. I mean, I'd rather wait for a car to go by than go by and then to try to squeeze side mirrors together.
Yeah, so if we can button up a couple of those
I'll-
things, cross them. Not totally off.
I'll
the
get a hold of
list,
Nate
but somewhat.
and do it. All right?
And then my next thing for old business was the Jake break. So I had somebody email me, the person that was really interested in the law. We passed the law, and we kind of dropped it at, we had to put up the signs. And we had to come up with locations for the signs. And then it kind of died.
So I still have that, that paperwork with me. And apparently the signs are free, so we just need to get.
The signs are free? How's that work?
Yeah, from the state, so.
Do they have one generic Jake break sign type of sign?
I'm not sure.
So.
Because I saw, I can't remember it, darn it, I saw in driving around, I saw some place that had a sign that was really good. It just doesn't mention, because you don't use Jake brakes, but it mentioned.
No, it says air brakes or something.
But it mentioned something about decibels or loudness or whatever. It was a good sign. So still, maybe we can find out
Yeah.
what signs the state has available.
I know what that one is. It's just a state law that says you're not allowed to have any traffic noise over 90 decibels. And so they just post them in their areas, and it's just a state law that could be enforced here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
if we have decimal readers, yeah.
If you're doing the research, would you find out what, if you have
So-
what the possible signs are?
I did do the research when we were talking about the bill, or the law, creating it. And I believe Nate and other people thought that might be too much or something for us to look at. And so we just concentrated on compression brakes, and that's what our law is about. It's not about noise, it's about compression brakes, or the noise of compression brakes.
Once again, the one I saw didn't have a number on it. It was, I can't remember.
I've seen ones that say like fine of something to kind of like.
It's just New York State law, and it's just posting signs that give knowledge about what the New York State laws are. So, it's just something additional that we could post here. We don't actually have to make a law about it.
A law about the sign?
Well,
We made the law about the law.
decibels.
So the Jake brakes, we did the law.
No, forget about the decibels.
We
That's not
just
what
need
we're
to
trying to do.
put up the signs, and we left it with, we had to figure out where to put the signs.
Where to put them and what we want them to say.
So somebody emailed me and asked me, it's been 6 months or whatever, what's
Yeah.
going on?
We need to do it.
So I can dig that list out, and if we can just have that supplied to Fred to have it put up, or
Slow down, what list?
the list of the
We have a list of-
locations.
We didn't, I mean, I know that Betsy Knapp had given us a bunch of things, but we didn't
That's
look
what
this
we-
over and say, this is where, we didn't do any of that work.
So
We still need to do that
do
work.
that work. Or she emailed me and asked what was.
Yeah, that's fair enough that we haven't done it, we need to do it, but we still need to decide how many signs we want, and do we want
Where do they go?
57 signs everywhere? No, what's practical, what do we need?
I think it was 15 on the list, and it was like at the entrances
Right.
to the village. That made sense.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
On the bridge, coming across the bridge.
Yeah, there was some,
coming in.
It's all the approaches into the
Right,
village.
all the approaches were,
Yeah.
it's a slight downgrade.
And we might get a truck, so.
Yeah.
Would we like,
Normally use their Jacob's rates.
Mike, would we like to have the Traffic and Safety Committee meet and go over this and make a recommendation soon?
Yep.
And that's what we should do. And people that have computers and can Google everything in America, you can find a whole bunch of what
Good
those
looking
kinds of,
sign.
what those kinds of signs are in case there's something that we specifically would like.
All right, moving on.
Kids will be shot.
That's right.
Maybe get a
Get one of
digital
those.
sign.
New business. First thing we have on here is doing something with the local law. We either can do that or not do that, or wait, or whatever you guys want to do. If we do it, we have to do seeker, and I didn't print the form out because Nate didn't send it to me yet. But
it's a quick and easy seeker.
You gotta ask Nate. I don't know.
Yeah, sorry, Mike. I got distracted with children before I could email that to you, but it's the long form seeker form.
So no, it's a long, painful seeker.
Great. So, a quick observation, Mike. Understood what Julie was saying. The idea that we should look over 117 and look over various things and see if there are some things we want to tweak or some things that we want to do. I get that. I don't see that that's
it, maybe.
I don't see that that's directly related to the repeal of this. The fact that we need to do something else, we can't get this out till we do those other things. No, this piece is just simply not usable, not doable. We should not have that part in there about a special use for every building permit because it's something we don't do. So if we're not going to do it and it's way too cumbersome, then get it out of the law. Don't have laws in there about things that are not a good idea and we're not going to do. So I don't see that. And then the other parts about the superintendent does X things, but he doesn't, the floodplain manager does. So there's nothing in there that we need. And so this idea that we have 60 days to take action on it, I don't see how we need those 60 days. We're going to get rid of this. We then should probably get after, like we put things off, whatever other things we might want to add to the other law if there are things. But they're not in this. None of the stuff in this, the one we're getting rid of, are things that we want to add to the other.
Yeah, I think it's two separate. I mean, there's two actions there, right? There's repealing this and then looking
fit-
at 117 and seeing what we need to add or don't add. They
Laura, I
don't
know you've got
necessarily-
stuff to say, so jump in.
I sure do. We've been looking over a lot of this stuff when we were talking about the Building Plus Ups grant and the floodplain management. And what we are currently talking about eliminating is a higher standard that we have. And so I was even looking up paperwork today about our recovery from the 2011 flood. And we received a lot of disaster assistance from the government from that. And as part of our floodplain law, we are required to enforce the minimum standards. And we've been shown in our practices that we haven't been following them very well. And this is just one place where the public would get to see it. And so what this does is it adds the planning and zoning boards as being another point of oversight over what's getting built or what's getting proposed to be built in our, in this case, for this law, in the special flood hazard area. We have to do that anyway. We're required to. The code enforcement is our floodplain administrator. So he has to do these flood permits for all these projects anyway.
You're talking
so-
about 117. We would be eliminating 117 if we're doing what you're saying.
He already has to do all that stuff for the 117. So he has to do all that work. This law that you'd like to repeal, 195, just adds that the planning and zoning boards get to know about it.
That's not what this says at all. Doesn't say they get to know about it. And first of all, it doesn't mention the planning board at all. And it says that the zoning board must issue a special use permit for every single building permit. So it doesn't say that they get to know about it. It says they have to do that.
Right, because it goes to the planning and zoning boards for their review.
That's not what this law says.
The law says that anything to be built in an area subject to flooding.
Not anything to
all
be
the
built, not anything to be
applications-
built, any building permit.
Building and use permits.
Yep. Keep going. What does it say? I know, I interrupted you, I'm sorry.
That they get reviewed.
No, it doesn't say they get to reviewed. It says that they have to get from the zoning board of appeals, a special use permit. Doesn't say they just get reviewed. They have to give them a special use permit.
That's how that special use permits get reviewed.
If they reviewed it and said, oh, we don't think you need one, they can't do that. It's not getting reviewed. It says they have to do that. They have to give them that. They have to give them that thing, that special use permit.
My way of thinking is how many special use permits have been given out for that since the law has become.
Thousands
valid?
should have been, for all the building permits should have had to been
but
given
How
out.
many actually got given out?
We should have been
Three?
following,
Village?
and we knowingly have not been for a long time.
Correct.
We knowingly are not following the law for our building projects.
Once again, in 117, it tells you about having to do this for building projects. It has to do it for new construction. And you have to do it for all those things. This chapter is way beyond that. It's every single building permit. Not a new construction project. Everything, the tiniest little thing that you have to have a building permit for. You have to do all this.
Putting a roof on, putting a bathroom in, putting on everything.
Anything, or much smaller than them, any little thing that you have to do a building permit for. That's the grind with this. That 17 tells us, if I could find you every bit of it, that we have to do it for new construction. I don't remember if it says exactly, but any substantial, I'm paraphrasing, substantial changes, substantial construction, we expect that. Then that's what the state gave us that law. That's what they expect.
We are supposed to be doing substantial damage improvements and substantial damage requirements that, like, if people are improving their properties, that we make sure that they're doing it safely.
And that's all in 117. It's not in 195-32.
Yeah, but it just adds an extra layer where the planning and zoning boards
You keep
are
saying that. The
aware
planning board is
and
not
see the
mentioned in this. You
projects.
keep saying that. The planning board is not in this.
Yeah, I
It
know.
talks about a special use permit, and those are the boards that have approved those permits.
So just for argument here, the planning board at the county level, the 239 review, as well as our planning board, both issued advisory opinions on this. And both of their opinions were that it's redundant and doesn't need to be in the code. And those are the boards that.
Nate, can you expand on that?
I mean, I think exactly as the mayor said, both the county and the village planning boards felt this is redundant. A little further with the county, Elaine Jardine had thought that this was something that was absolutely required to stay in, but she confirmed with New York State DEC and FEMA that this is not something that they require at all. I do think how Laura is phrasing it is correct. that this is a higher standard that the village voluntarily enacted however long ago. So if you choose to keep it, it's in holding the village to a higher standard than what DEC and FEMA require.
Then it is a higher standard. The opposite side of the higher standard is it takes longer to process building permits and puts a lot of work on the planning and zoning boards.
With the nature of our zoning and planning boards and how often they get to meet and how many times we have a quorum, you're asking somebody that wants to have a building permit to potentially wait for, once again, for something substantial, that's one thing. For something dinky, potentially months and months. And once again, we don't do it now, nor did we ever intend to do it because it's just far too burdensome.
We
That's
don't
just
send, we just don't send projects through the planning and zoning boards because it's bothersome, not because they're supposed to, and we are just not having our projects go through the process.
And so what we're trying to do here is we're trying to make these dinky ones not have to go through that process. They have to go to the code and get their building permits from the Department of Public Works, and that's what we expect them for those little tiny things to have to go through.
And we've determined that that's completely legal by everybody.
It's legal and it's recommended. Our planning board and the Tioga County Planning Board recommended that we get rid of that.
So that's the.
We don't have to, we can keep it in there. There's other pieces, there's 4 pieces here, and the other pieces say that the superintendent of public works will make determinations. Except of course in 117 and in the way we run things, et cetera, our floodplain manager makes those determinations, not the superintendent of public works. So those things were written a long time ago to fit a certain thing. Those things no longer apply. Those don't need to be there.
Yeah, because that would say Fred has to
do all that stuff.
Not code enforcement. It's just an old piece of.
And then once again, I say, and to Julie's point, we can review 117 and say there are some things in there that we want to be more strict about, or we want to make it more clear that what level of things have to go to where.
You're going to remove the whole public process of the procedure. Like everything, we're going to remove our higher standards as an attempt to remove that we have to even follow the minimum standards. Well, we're not even following the minimum standards to enforcement through our office. But we're just trying to get rid of having to follow the rules and by removing this law, and it just takes away our own public's knowledge and oversight over the projects through the planning boards and the zoning board.
They don't think that it's necessary. The planning board doesn't think that this is a necessary thing. County Planning Board doesn't think that this is a necessary thing.
If somebody wants to replace the roof on their house, what does it have to do with the public? So if your neighbor doesn't like it, then what, your roof to leak, they go to the meeting and say, don't let them get the building permits?
We're not talking about that.
Yeah, we are.
So.
Yeah, we are. This is what it's all
Excuse me?
about.
It's not my show.
So one example, Laura, would be, in front of my house, I have a cracked sidewalk, and if I decided to wanted to replace that sidewalk, I would have to get a permit and apply through the planning board to get approval to replace that piece of sidewalk.
No.
Yes, you would, and you'd have to apply to the zoning board, and you'd have to get a special use permit, because if you got a building permit, you had to do all that, because that's what it says.
Actually, you wouldn't, because we're not in the flood zone. But yes, if you were on Front Street, yes.
Yeah.
That's what I keep bringing up. we have
Smaller.
protection for substantial construction or anything like that. This says every tiny little thing, anything you get a building permit
You
for.
want to replace a window, not only do you have to go through HPC and all that, you have to go through the zoning board.
Zoning board, and you have to get a special use permit. You don't just have to tell them you're gonna do it, you have to get that special use permit.
Yeah, my thinking is there's a lot of people that know a lot of stuff that have degrees in planning and zoning and all that have said, and FEMA and DEC that have said this is redundant, take it out. Because one thing that we check on our audits, where we get dinged down, is when we have stuff and we don't follow it. And this is the prime example that it's been in there since 1950. Let's see, give you the date.
Yeah.
And nobody has ever followed it. Until the
Because
village
we
recently
thought
in
that
the
this was
last
what you
year.
should write back then before we had all this other stuff.
Yeah.
We thought this is what we should do.
We
Come in, look and see, and did you follow your process? It's no, because we haven't.
we followed it up until the county stopped working well with us with our projects. The county used to prepare a lot of our stuff to go through the planning and the zoning boards.
So we have one of these for every building permit from 1950 to 2019.
For all the DRI projects that the county worked on the private side,
This
they
isn't
all
just-
got their
This is not-
special use permits, and they all went through the process
This is not
correctly.
just big DRI projects. This is Dave putting a roof on, me putting the replacement windows in, Charles building a shed. This is
Or
the
smaller.
Hundreds of building permits these guys issue, which I've been trying to get a report on how many, but they haven't sent me yet.
I still think we're confusing,
Adding
we're
a railing
confusing
to the step.
that we want
Right.
anything of substance to have to go through this, but we don't want anything of tininess to have to go through this. We don't want it.
That's where,
And that's just the first sentence of it. The rest of it is all the superintendent stuff, which is completely unapplicable,
Right, because it should be the floodplain manager, but it should be anybody.
which it says in 117
And it
that,
shouldn't be, right
that's
now,
who
it's,
will be doing it.
it's up to whatever he determines.
So it's not just redundant, it's
Superintendent could say,
it's
"We don't need that
contradictory.
anywhere."
It's not redundant, it's contradictory. Over here, the superintendent will be in charge of these things. Over here in 117, the floodplain manager will be in charge of these things. So who's in charge of it?
And that doesn't tie it, one thing I know is that the old law doesn't tie it to the floodplain, or it just says, as determined by the superintendent of public works.
As if he's going to make the decisions about floodplain.
But
So if
Off the
I,
top of his
so,
head.
so, so if I had a fishing vessel and I'm out on the seas and I'm fishing for salmon and I got little nets and I'm capturing salmon, but I'm also capturing shrimp. I don't need shrimp. So let's let the shrimp go. Let's make the net a little bit bigger so the shrimp can get through and keep the salmon. That's what we're doing.
I'm staying away from that analogy.
Waste all that
My head's
shrimp?
blowing up.
I love shrimp.
I'm allergic to shrimp.
They believe it.
Save them for me, Charlie.
So anyway.
So Julie's point is taken that we probably should
We shouldn't stop
be
here.
thinking about
Revisiting.
some changes to 117 if we need to. Your point is taken that we don't want to, we want eyes on things, we want to look at things, we don't want to just willy-nilly not take care of stuff. And the other point about that this is both redundant and contradictory and not necessary.
And that was some of Julie's point, was maybe we build the eyes on things into 117
Oh, yeah, she didn't recommend that we keep this.
for substantial things.
She recommended we have 60 days to find some other places and things that we're not thinking about and looking at.
Fred and Mick are supposed to do yearly annual reviews of things, and they're supposed to be aware of the building and report on the building. And they, if they're doing that, they would be able to know substantial improvements. Like, so if somebody is improving their property over time and not in one major improvement, but if they're doing it over time, it might actually add up to a substantial improvement that would require the higher building permits. And if we I just feel if we're hiding these or burying these projects or just not having them come to light, we're not going to be following enforcing the laws that we're supposed to.
Well, that would be Mick's job to keep an eye on that and reinforce that and stay on top of it, would it not?
He's the floodplain manager, his job is to do all of that. So if he can't handle figuring out the difference between a little bitty thing and how far we should go, it's like some of the other laws we have where our rules or processes, and somebody gets to decide whether they raise to the level. The planning board gets to decide whether something raises to a level or not. The zoning board gets to decide that. And Mick, the floodplain manager, gets to decide whether this project raises to the level where, and he gets to write off those things. He does it now.
Right.
We don't do that special use. He looks at that now and says, oh, no, that's okay. You don't have to have that. Or even ask him for a building permit. He'll say, oh, no, you don't have to have a building permit for that. He makes those calls.
Well, there are some floodplain development certificates that he can issue, and some have to go more steps if you check the wrong boxes or the right boxes.
But that's his job to know
Right.
where that threshold is and take that step.
Whoever the
That's why he
floodplain
went to
manager is.
school and why we gave him a raise. Because he had more responsibility.
But we're not actually supporting him in the job he needs to do.
That's over here. We're not, over here is whether this law is a thing that we need to have, whether or not, and with Julie's recommendation, she's kind of saying the same thing that you're saying. We need to have certain amount of oversight, certain amount of eyes, certain amount of things.
Absolutely.
And she recommended that we take a look, but she didn't recommend that this is the one. She didn't also say, get rid of it. She didn't say one way or the other. But she said, we should be looking at ways to do these things in an appropriate manner. And you're saying that, which is not stupid or wrong. It's just that this ain't the way.
Yeah, because it
Use that ain't when I'm worked up.
at least lets everything that doesn't apply in 117 flow fairly easily to get a building permit and get stuff done. Like, to me, there's a lot of different schools of thought, but one of the schools of thought is if I want to replace a window in my house and I gotta come get a building permit, it's $25. I fill in a form, I give it to Mick. Now, if he tells me, oh, you gotta go to a meeting that only happens once every 6 months because you don't have a quorum, it makes it insanely hard. I'm just gonna go on Saturday and put the window in my house and screw you all. If you make it really hard to follow the process, people are just not gonna follow the process.
You gotta take a chance not even paying to get.
And we incorrectly decided a zillion years ago that the village is gonna follow that process. We're gonna give you that building permit. We're not gonna make you go to the zoning board of appeals. That's a stupid law, and we're not gonna follow it. We decided that because we haven't been doing it forever and ever and ever. Now, that being said, as we're having this long discussion about this now, so the seeker part, what's the story? Right? Is that seeker there?
We got it.
So if we wanted to do this evening, we'd need to do the seeker anyways.
Yep.
And actually, we can do the seeker, as we already know, whether we pass that law or not. The seeker is a step.
Well, that is true. It is a step, no matter what we do. I mean, obviously, we don't ever pass it. We don't need to do it, but if we do it and then we don't take action, it's done.
Laura, I understand how you feel. I understand what you're thinking there. And I just don't think that that's the way to go on this. And I don't think anything's gonna be problematic or fall apart if we get rid of this law, or suddenly there'll be anarchy in the streets, or suddenly the craziness will happen. Things will actually go the way they go.
The way that they're going, I guess.
And 117 will be hopefully taken better care of, because we are taking better care of making sure that we follow that. And once again, if you or Julie or anybody wants to recommend some changes that would be logical and make some sense, I think that can be done. Saving this, I don't see the value.
I don't either.
And I see the downside.
I see a lot of work for the planning and zoning board, where we struggle to get members and struggle to get a quorum.
And the planning
And
board
we're
looked at
potentially gonna
this.
need another person on the planning board.
Yeah, the planning board looked at this. Well, anyway,
So do we wanna do the seeker? Like you said, it doesn't hurt to do the seeker.
we have to do, whether we do it or not, we have to do the seeker.
Right. So we got it printed out. Nate can help us walk through
Oh,
it.
my goodness. I love it. 1 hour, this is gonna be a 3-hour meeting.
Right.
So Mary, do you want to start walking through it or no?
Sure. The quick ones always take the longest.
Mark, can you live with this?
Yeah, it's just gonna happen.
Okay, so should we walk through the seeker? Then it's done.
Yep, so the first question in part 2, there's 18 questions to go through, is whether there's an impact on land, whether the proposed action may involve construction on or physical alteration of the land surface of the proposed site. And that's just a simple yes or no. If the answer is yes, then you walk through the sub-questions. If the answer is no, you move on to the next one.
Involved construction on a physical alteration of the land surface. Proposed site, we don't even have a proposed site.
No, it's about the law. We have to think about what the law could, taking the law out would trigger, I guess.
So it's a law about areas subject to flooding.
Well, probably yes.
So the proposed action may involve construction on land where depth to water table is less than 3 feet. Yeah.
So if the answer to the question 1 is yes, then you do move through those sub-questions, and then the question to ask is whether there'd be a no or small impact or a moderate to large impact.
Impact on land. So are we gonna say that it could be, so we've got to.
I mean, it could be.
All right, so let's do that. Yes, is that, yes, right?
Yeah.
Is that right, gang? Yes for the first one? Or the big one?
Right.
And so then moving through the sub-questions, the proposed action may involve construction on land where depth to water table is less than 3 feet. And it's not just a yes or a no there, but it's about the impact that might occur. And so whether there's a no or small impact or a moderate to a large impact. Potential for a moderate to large impact.
Okay. Is there any place in the village where the water table is 3 feet from the surface? No.
I don't know. Probably not.
No small impact?
No or small impact?
Probably, because the water table's down below the ground, probably more than 3 feet, I would imagine.
Yeah. What is it gonna be? Do we have a?
Small impact.
I would say no or small because of the
Laura?
depth of the water table, not the flooding water.
Small impact.
Small impact for that.
So then the next one is the proposed action may involve construction on slopes of 15% or greater.
Yes.
Maybe. I mean, what?
Well, again, it's a no or small impact or a moderate to large environmental impact from construction on slopes 15% or greater. A 15% slope is pretty steep.
That is pretty steep. Probably a small impact. I mean, there's probably not very many.
Once again, because there wouldn't be hardly any place that we would do that.
Right.
And it would have to be a large project because we're only taking out the other piece.
Right.
Is that?
It's probably a small impact because there's still a lot of protections there. And I don't think there's many 15%.
What are we saying, gang? Small?
Small impact. Yes.
The proposed action may involve construction on land where bedrock is exposed or generally within 5 feet of existing ground surface. So is there bedrock in the village?
I don't know.
Small.
Not hardly.
Not that I've seen, but never know, I suppose.
Feel you will probably be pretty aware if there's a large amount of bedrock exposed.
Yeah.
that close.
Yeah,
Small?
so it's probably a small impact is what I would think. It's just me.
D, 1,000 tons. Bingo.
Excavation and removal more than 1,000 tons.
That's pretty quick and easy.
Small.
You think that's small?
That was a no.
Yeah,
I just want to know what the check.
small for 1,000 tons. We're not, because it's replacing the window, it's, yeah.
Then E is the proposed action may involve construction that continues for more than 1 year or in multiple phases.
Can't be because the building permit isn't for more than a year.
But Rusty, the issue there is not just whether a building permit's good for 1 year, but whether there's a likelihood that there will be a multi-year project that is allowed now by you folks repealing this section of the code.
Guilty of. No, nothing changed there.
Multi-year project.
I'm guilty of that. Aren't we all? Changing a leak on the faucet. That takes me 2 years.
Aren't we all? So what do we think on that one?
Small?
Small impact. I heard a consensus.
Then the next one is whether the proposed action may result in increased erosion, whether from physical disturbance or vegetation removal, including from treatment by herbicides.
The only coastal erosion I can think of is the river wall.
Yeah.
And that's been standing since it's been built. We haven't had any substantial, even after the flood, any substantial erosion over there. So I would say no, just small.
We even need a building permit to do vegetation,
No.
or almost. Small?
You don't need a building permit, but you need a work
Then this,
permit.
then this wouldn't apply,
Right.
because this is only about a building.
We're only modifying what you need for a building permit.
Well, that's a physical disturbance though.
So Laura, it's about whether the proposed action, which is repeal of this law, which triggers on a building permit, would result in that. So I understand what you're saying, but as Rusty and the mayor pointed out, it's not triggered on a building permit.
Coastal erosion? No.
We're not in the coastal erosion hazard area. No beaches I've seen around here.
We good?
Just Greenwood Park.
And then are there any other impacts on land that are not listed that you folks think might have any no or small or moderate to large impact?
All right,
So
question
not-
on 17.
Go ahead, Mayor.
Do we have to put the, under other impacts, if we don't list anything, we don't have to X anything?
Right, I just don't know.
Correct.
Okay. Next, page 2.
Proposed action may result in modification or destruction or inhibit access to any unique or unusual landforms on the site. Example, cliffs, dunes, minerals, fossils, and caves.
No, we don't have those things. Could it?
I check no.
So we don't have to go through A, B, and C on that since we just said no, right?
Correct.
Correct.
Next.
Impact on surface water. Proposed action may affect one or more wetlands or other surface water bodies. Example, streams, rivers, ponds, or lakes. You're not gonna get a building permit to build in a river.
And I assume that if we tried to do that, it would be covered under 117.
All of it would be.
So we will not be affecting that.
So no.
Yeah, no. We're saying no.
Page 3.
Impacts on groundwater. The proposed action may result in new or additional use of groundwater or may have potential to introduce contaminants to the groundwater and or aquifer.
Once again, 117 would cover that stuff. So this won't change, this thing doesn't change 117. Every single thing we do, we say in this, it would have to, if 117 covers that, this would have to change that.
Yeah, looking through the sub questions, I would probably say no.
What do you think about the groundwater?
No.
What are we saying, kids? No?
No. There, now this one's probably a yes. Impact on flooding. The proposed action may result in development on land subject to flooding. I
That'd
think
be a
that's
yes.
definitely a yes.
Proposed action may result in development on lands.
Subject, which is exactly what we're repealing, so.
That's only a new construction though. And
That's
you'd
what I
have to
would
go-
think.
You'd have to go through zoning and.
That would be
planning.
development, and I think it says it right in 117 that development is
Yeah,
covered.
Even if we say yes, we can go through and say if they're big, because we do have 117, which covers it, so. I don't think it hurts to walk through the questions on it.
So would that be moderate to large impact may occur?
I would think it'd be small. The proposed action, so the first one is proposed action may result in development in a designated floodway. I would argue small because 117 is gonna tell you you can't do that.
Yeah.
It's no or small, probably.
So we put the impact on flooding, yes, and now we're going to the other ones?
Yes, yeah, I think that's probably the safest, because this is.
Now we're going
law.
Floodway, you can't do.
Proposed, well, it's, yeah, so
Yeah.
no or small, because 117 is gonna stop you from doing that. Proposed action may result in development within a 100-year floodplain.
That'd be a yes.
What's the same thing?
Except that, except that the
117 is gonna say that you can't, I mean. you have to
117 is
follow
going to tell you floodplain development permit.
Development is
Here we
permitted.
go. A floodplain development permit is hereby established for all construction and other development to be undertaken. And so you have to get that. It's 117.11. So everything that, so that's already covered. So taking this out does not do that.
Taking this piece out, I would argue is a small impact, because you still have to follow 117, right?
Because you can't do it.
So it's not like we're taking all of it out.
But you can develop in the 100-year floodplain, and you can develop in the floodway, and you can develop in the 500-year floodplain. You just have to have permits.
Which you have to have.
Under 117.
So to help frame the discussion here, what Laura is saying is not incorrect, right? She's saying there may be additional development within the designated floodway, 100-year floodplain, 500-year floodplain. And then what you folks are also saying is also correct. That Chapter 117, in your opinion, provides appropriate protections for the village from harms that might result in development within those areas. And so you could answer moderate to large impacts may occur, but then in part 3, you would provide the explanation that you all believe Chapter 117 provides adequate protections against those potential impacts and mitigates them such that there is no environmental significance as a result.
So we want to change those to moderate to large?
I'm saying if a majority of you think it's moderate to large, but then with the conditions it's appropriate, then that's the way to write it. If you think it's no or small impact and a majority of you agree, then put it as no or small impact.
I'm using the logic of the proposed action may result in development. The proposed action is to get rid of that particular piece. That cannot result in the development because there was another piece that would stop that from happening. That can't happen because of that.
Well, not to any more or less extent.
Yes, well, yes, but getting rid of it didn't make it happen. Something else made it happen. I don't know if that logic follows or whether you put that down and then write that down later.
So am I checking small or large?
Well, it eliminates additional oversight. So
There's nothing here that says anything about that.
So it may result in more development in our floodplain because we would have less oversight.
Okay, so we'll do a majority. So Rusty, what do you think?
Small.
Laura, you think large?
Moderate to large, yeah.
What do you think?
Small.
Charles? Small. Okay. So that's.
What do you think, Mike?
I would say small, but I mean, it wouldn't matter. It's still 3-2. So.
Same with the 500?
Yeah, same.
Okay. Proposed action may result in or require modification of existing drainage patterns. I would probably think along the same thought process. But.
Yep, same stuff. If that's the way we're thinking.
The proposed action may change water flows that contribute to flooding.
which probably is in here. Every bit of this is probably in 117.
Well, you're not able to do anything more than you used to be able to do. Because 117 was still the most restrictive piece of that.
117 restricts all the flood stuff.
If anything, we took out
195 restricts other things.
It doesn't really restrict anything. It just says that you have to get a special use permit. It doesn't say what the zoning board has to follow.
But they have to do it. Yeah, they could do it.
They could give you permits for stuff that you couldn't do in 117.
Yeah.
There's a different way to look at it.
Although we would expect,
And that's why,
in a sense, they could, although we expect them to have to follow 117.
but that's why, like, so that was in there way before 117, but that's why after the flood and after all the reconstruction, they put 117 in, was to give some definition of.
So
are
that
you
somebody
really
couldn't give you
supposed to
that
do it?
special use permit just because they willy-nilly felt like it.
To answer 5E, we are not changing a course of a water flow with our decision. We can just mark no.
Okay, good enough. How about F?
Yeah,
If
we're
there's
not
a-
building it, we don't have
I
a
don't think we're
dam.
building a dam.
Damn.
And then other would be no. So impacts on air. The proposed action may include a state-regulated air emission source. I would say no to that. I don't think a special use permit has any sort of impact on air. Carbon dioxide.
Somebody took the roof off their chicken coop.
Yeah, right.
That could be a problem.
If you wanted 6 because you were thinking about somebody that's gonna do something with a air conditioner or furnace or something or blah, 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 we could do it, but then all the little subtitles are gigantic quantities of.
I would say no, because you're not gonna be able to do anything you can't do with a normal building permit.
Yep.
Impacts on plants and animals. The proposed action will result in loss of flora or fauna. I would think no, because again, you're not allowing or disallowing anything more than you already are. Doesn't allow farm animals or anything. We get another one. Impact on agricultural resources. The proposed action may impact agricultural resources.
Agricultural land, we don't have much agriculture in the village, but agricultural land, agricultural district, agricultural land.
We only have one parcel listed as agricultural.
So that'd be, no?
Impact on aesthetic resources. Land use of the proposed action are obviously different from or are in sharp contrast to current land use patterns between the proposed land project and scenic or aesthetic resources. I would say no, because you're just getting them. Right? We're not changing anything you can or cannot get a permit for. Right. Impact on historic and archaeological resources. The proposed action may occur in or adjacent to a historic or archaeological resource.
So yes.
Yeah, because we have a historic district where you can get permits. So that is true, it may occur in there. Now the sub-questions. Proposed action may occur wholly or partly within or substantially contiguous to any buildings, archaeological site, or district which is listed in the National State Register of Historical Places, or that has been determined by the Commissioner of New York State Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation to be eligible for listing on State Register of Historic Places.
So if we want to be honest about that, that would be moderate, because somebody could, in the historic district, be doing some stuff inside the house.
Need the house raised.
Yeah, I guess we could allow stuff that, I guess, I don't know.
I mean, even a stupid little building permit inside a historic National Register, don't we have houses that are on the National Register? So that one we probably have to, if we want to be consistent, that would be moderate.
Proposed action may occur wholly or partly within or substantially contiguous to an area designated as sensitive for archaeological sites by SHPO.
We don't have archaeological sites.
I don't think, I would say that's small because I don't know of any that we have. I mean, we always look for them, but I don't think we've ever found one.
Same with the next one. Archaeological sites.
So then we do, if any of the above are answered moderate to large,
continue,
we have to answer these other three. The proposed action may result in destruction or alteration of all or part of the site or property. I would say that's small because we have OHPC that would govern that. Right, if you're gonna really alter or destroy the property, there's a lot more. Then you're gonna need a lot more than a building permit.
Yep.
The proposed action may result in the alteration of the property's setting or integrity. Again,
Or you need a building. Setting, yeah, we're not moving it, we're not, I don't know.
I would think that's a small risk. What do you guys think? Am I checking small or large?
No.
Proposed action may result in the introduction of visual elements which are out of character with the site or property or may alter its setting. Again, that's governed by OHPC, if anything you can see on the outside. I guess you could do stuff on the inside, but you still could do that today.
But, well, they can't make decisions about flooding stuff. They can only make decisions about historical character.
Right.
So like,
we're not changing any of that.
They're not saving anybody. They're only talking about historical features. They're not helping us from flooding information.
So that's probably no small change.
Wow, that's a lot of sugar.
That's what we need it.
Huh?
We need it.
Yeah.
Municipal open space, that's not a building permit.
In loss of recreational opportunities, yeah, I would say you can't do that with a building permit. Impact on critical environmental areas. I would say this flooding thing is not gonna change that. You're gonna need a lot more permits if you're gonna do something in one of those areas.
Yeah, that's back to all our floodplain rules and laws.
Impact on transportation, I would say no. Impact on energy, probably no. Impact on noise, odor, and light, probably no. Impact on human health. Hopefully not. I'd say no, just to get a building permit. Not gonna affect any of those things down below. Consistency with community plans. Proposed action is not consistent with adopted land use plans.
Our
Can you explain that?
I don't know how that's.
Our comprehensive plan supports us getting into the CRS and having strong flooding rules and higher standards helps us get into the CRS. And so this would be against us getting into that. Like this would hurt our chances. So it's not consistent with our plan that way.
So if I can interject, Laura, this question is about community land use plans, not necessarily whether you should be in the CRS or not.
Yeah.
Right.
Land use is about how the land is actually being used. So, for example, when you look at the sub questions, it tells you those sub questions give you an idea of what the question is primarily meant to be about. So certainly, if anyone thinks it's a potential impact, of course, then the answer should be yes. But I'm just trying to help clarify the discussion.
Our comprehensive plan covers our land use, how we want to use our land. And that's why managing it with the CRS and good floodplain management was wise and recommended in it, because it's good monitoring of our land.
Yeah, but I don't know.
But back to
what Nate
117,
said,
we're not going to be allowed to do any of those things.
Well, on top of that, this is, if you look at the sub questions, like Nate was saying, this is about zoning and.
We would be removing planning and zoning's oversight of our
Building permits, though,
of
not
our-
the use of the land.
of what we use, of what we do in our flooding areas. In our areas that are subject to flood, this would remove planning and zoning's oversight of it, of the land use.
I don't know, it's only of the building permits, it's not of, if you still want to do something that you can't do in a zone, they still have to weigh in. This is about like somebody rezoning something or putting a convenience store in where there was a house or something, I think.
117.19, Appeals Board, and it tells all the things that the Zoning Appeals Board will look at for anything that has to do with the floodplain. So we're not removing the Zoning Board of Appeals looking at this. They have all of the things in 117.19. Probably much of the stuff in the seeker.
So what are we checking yes or no here, and are we going through the questions?
The proposed action is not consistent with adopted land use plans.
Look at the sub-questions, I would say.
Because what we're doing when we take this out is, the consistency is we're using another part of our chapter to do the things that thing would have done. And that is consistent. We didn't add something in, we're taking something out. So what is the?
I would say no. Charles would say no. What do you guys think?
Am I making any sense here? I don't know.
Yeah.
17 is no.
No.
Yes, it's no.
What do you think? 18, consistency with community character. Proposed project is inconsistent with existing community character. And if you look at the sub questions.
Yeah, A says that it would eliminate things, but you can't. To do that, we have, once again, the piece we're taking out, we have other places that do that.
Right.
So that by taking it out, we won't have eliminated that, because we have other things that stop that.
I would say no.
Is that making any sense?
Right, what do it's not?
Don't say it. I have to say this one.
No.
Okay.
Part 3.
No, that's it. I think that's all we gotta do, right?
Part 3 is the, where we have to defend whatever we said
Oh, right.
earlier.
Which we did say yes to one of them.
What did we come up with on the yes? Yes was,
Historical.
okay, impact on land, but we had no on all of the semis. What was it, Mike? Impact on flooding, we had all no's.
It was impact on historical or archaeological resources, and then it was A, that it may occur in a historic district.
Actually, may wholly or partly building.
Mayor, in part 3, you have to do what you've just done, which is identify the impact based on the part 2 responses and then describe the magnitude. Magnitude considers factors such as severity, size, or extent of the impact. Then you assess the importance of the impact, relating to geographic scope, duration, probability of it occurring, number of people affected, and any additional environmental consequences if the impact were to occur. And you provide the reasons why the impact may or will not result in a significant adverse environmental impact. I think just based on what you have been talking about, the key piece of mitigation here is that the Chapter 117 of the Village Code provides the review and enforcement mechanism and protection for any development within the floodplain, including within the historic district.
Correct. Good. Do I have to write that in here? Or you're going to send it to us or something?
You should write that in, handwrite it in, or I can type it and then email it to you. But
yeah, that'd be a good plan.
Okay.
Because I'm not going to fit that in the blank.
If anyone thinks that there's any other things required or necessary to mention for why you believe this action will be mitigated, then please let me know.
So we did seeker. That doesn't do anything besides we check the box and did seeker.
So Mayor, I think it would be appropriate for a motion by someone to make a negative declaration for on seeker for this project.
Would anybody like to do that?
I'll do that.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. So this just means that we went through seeker and we're happy with the answers, basically. That it's not going to affect anything. So we'll vote on that. Rusty?
Yes.
Laura?
No.
Dave?
Yes.
Charles?
Yes.
And yes.
Okay. You need these back?
No. We'll keep them for your pleasure.
Right.
So now if you want to do the law, you can. If you want to wait on the law, you can. It's up to you.
Mr. Mayor,
Rusty?
I move that we, let me find my paper here. I move we adopt local law number 1 of 2025, a local law of repealing section 195-32 of the Village Code entitled Areas Subject to Flooding, and the 4 sections
Okay.
contained in that law.
Anybody second that? Okay. I think we've had plenty of discussion on it. Let's vote. Charles?
Yes.
Rusty?
Yes.
Laura?
No.
And yes. Motion passes. Here's this, we're gonna get rid of the bills. Next thing.
Mike, can I just throw one thing in there?
Sure.
We should probably, and we can certainly speak to, not that, but Julie's part of this stuff. We should probably move forward at, with her and others asking what things that you aren't, we might need to do in 117.
Yeah, 117 is not perfect.
So if Julie had some thoughts and things, well, so we'd like to hear them. And I'm absolutely sure that Laura has some thoughts and things.
Okay. So next thing is to move some of the ARPA money from the bank account to the savings account. So this is just a motion to move it between accounts so that we can straighten up our books.
Put it back in.
We lost Rusty. Hold on.
I'd like to make a motion to approve moving ARPA funds in the amount of $124,744.60 from bank account ending in 7404 into the savings account that expended the money for projects that have been completed.
I second
Okay. Any discussion? It's pretty self-explanatory. We paid for the stuff, so we're paying ourselves back. Yep. Okay, let's vote on that. Rusty?
Yes.
Laura?
Yes.
Dave? Yes. Charles? Yes. And yes. And next one is payment of bills. You guys get them? Have any questions?
Pay bills.
Got any motion?
Charles, made motion.
So we did, oh, somebody seconded it. I don't know about it.
Second.
Yeah. So we gave you guys the normal report, I think, but we Mickey found a better report so that if we have questions on bills, there's a little bit more info here that we can look at during the meeting.
It gives you better details split out.
I didn't get that in the email. Is
Yeah,
that,
It's in the.
No, we just come up with it.
This is just, we're gonna do this, but you're gonna try to start doing this.
It's the same thing,
The
it's just-
agenda, you just gotta open as a bunch of others.
It just has, this one's not
This
in
one you
there.
didn't get.
She just found this one.
We're just gonna experiment and see.
Yeah, so. It's the same thing, it just has a little different, a little more description of what the bill was.
The last amount is 90.
Yeah, it's all the same.
49, it was all the same.
Yeah, all the bills are, this just gives you a little
This
more
is more
detail of the bill.
It's a little more breakdown, like it says, business internet for OFD only on this one, you know what I mean?
so can you tell me what did we pay $1,500 for Faithful Shepherd's Farm?
Let's see if it's in here.
For a radio repair.
Let's look it up. Faithful Shepherds?
Faithful Shepherd's Farm.
Yeah.
We give them
This
$1,000.
appears to go in alphabetical order. There it is, right there.
Radio repair.
Faithful. It says lamp and exact fit blades.
Blades and a lamp.
It says lamp and exact fit blades.
Sounds like a Zoom thing.
Faithful Shepherd's Farms.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're, oh, wait a minute, that was Feral Auto Supply. Oh, wait a minute, I read the wrong line, sorry. Faithful Shepherd's Farms was 872, test multiple radios for installation. So it was a fire truck. Radio testing. That other one was from Farrell's Auto Supply. We bought a light bulb and wiper blades.
Okay. Yeah, that's a better report, all right.
It is. Yeah, because now we know it came from the fire department. It was 872. What truck is 872?
872 is a chief.
Chief.
Yeah, that's not a truck, it's fire chief.
Oh,
It's Charles Olmsted.
so he must have taken radios there to be tested for $1,000.
I don't, where's the thing? I didn't see it. Do I have it in front of me?
That's all it says.
Okay. Charles, you got that right in front of you, Dave?
Yeah.
Let me see.
$1,050.
$1,050 for a radio check?
That's what it says. Test multiple radios for installation.
I don't.
This is what you'll be getting.
This is the new way.
Yeah.
Which I like.
Faithful Shepherd.
I had the same question. This is good, but that doesn't tell you what. This one's.
Yeah, I like that.
Well,
that you
it
can,
tells you something there. It's
yeah,
not
a little something.
incredibly.
Well, it'll give you a lot, but give you something to go off.
Yeah, the other one's just a name and a number.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my guess is that
We don't have a guy.
our assistant chief, it's some radios, I don't know.
Never heard of Faithful Shepherd Farms.
Yeah, that's up there.
Operate a radio business in the farm?
Maybe. Might be, I don't know, yeah. Let's Google.
I don't know.
See if we can look it up, see if we,
I feel like I recognize the rest of the things on there. That was the only one that was like, Some pretty weird,
Just pass it down to Laura. Laura, you can just take a look at this. in general.
that'd be cool, yeah.
I'm gonna try to get that for next time.
Did we approve the payment of the bills or are we holding off on that
No,
one?
no, just
I'm looking it up. They're definitely a farm.
that's good sheep.
They got sheep.
Our mission is to
Chief Price.
provide our customers with
Is
the
that
freshest, highest quality
Is that
products.
you?
I don't know if this is the right place. 'Cause This place is in Kentucky.
Oh, no, that's, I don't think.
Hold on.
We can see all the salt Fred got.
250 tons and then 300 we're gonna have.
Faithful Shepherd Farms, Owego. Okay, here we go. Established in 2023. They got pigs and eggs. I don't see anything here about radios, but that might be a good one to ask somebody about.
Yeah. So let's approve the bills other than that one. Or not.
No, just, if we get a good explanation.
Want to do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say we'll check into that one. 'Cause
We'll just check into that, but I'm sure it's a good.
Rodney, you're gonna find out if
Yes.
that's good to go before you do it.
Oh,
Thanks.
yeah. We'll sniff into that one. 'Cause that seems weird. I don't see anything. I mean, they talk about pigs and sheep, but not
Sheep,
radios.
yeah. That's it.
Pig roast. You didn't give me a plate?
Maybe it was for a pig roast. Or for the banquet or something. I don't know.
All right, vote on these.
All right.
Hey, Tom.
We had a motion.
Hey,
and a
Tom, where's
second.
that sheep?
Let's vote on paying the bills and we will check into the farm.
Yeah, we're gonna better detail. Let's end it.
So Rusty,
Big fight there.
This is a payment of the bills.
Yeah.
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Dave, Charles.
Yep.
And yeah. Yeah, this is a much better report because it goes into like
Yeah.
Dodge Charger gasket, Dodge Charger engine coolant, tie rod, gear locker, keys, plexiglass.
Except it could tell us a little bit more about the radio.
Could tell us a little more about the pig we bought.
Pork chops, pork chops.
Where's that guy? Where's that pig? He's out back.
It's in the freezer.
We'll be grilling it up next week.
Whole pork. We got speed.
About a dozen eggs too.
Maybe a dozen eggs. Try that.
$1,000.
Yeah, maybe 2 dozen for $1,000.
$1,000 for that.
All right, next thing is minutes from January 21st.
What are we doing there?
I would motion to approve them with the addition of my report.
Second.
Any other discussion? They look okay to me. Rusty,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Dave,
Yes.
Charles, and yes. Trustee reports. Dave.
All right, the vac truck is in use. It's being, cross-trained as well. The sewer plant and the DPW have also been getting some training and use out of it. All right, so I asked him if he needed any factory training, maybe a rep could come down, and he was confident that they figured it all out of themselves. All right, so we've got the DPW and the sewer plant working on the new vac truck. In the spring, once things break, and they're completely comfortable with this, we'll talk about selling the previous vac truck that's sitting over there unused at this time.
Okay.
All right, the new truck is at the dealership, the Jeep.
Oh, the Jeep.
It finally showed up. It's at the dealership being prepped all this week. He expects it any day to be delivered.
Nice.
All right, so that'll be nice to have that in place as well to replace the old Dodge 2500.
Yeah.
And then we'll
Scrap that.
scrap that one or sell that one. And that's all I have.
Rusty,
No report.
Charles.
The new signs are up in Marvin Park for our specifications. Everything was good. That's all I had.
Perfect. Like do a ribbon cutting
Yeah, when the pool opens,
whenever the weather gets nicer.
do a pool openings, skate park openings.
Something. Laura.
we're gonna start bi-weekly CEC meetings for the solar array. So we would be meeting to discuss getting out an RFP and getting proposals and estimates on what kind of system and what we could have with the grant money that we got. And
is that all federal money?
this is money from the state. This is
Okay.
this is state money. So this is funded and still working, still projects that are funded, and we are counting on this money actually coming through.
That was a concern I had.
Yeah, no, we'll see.
Yep.
Because Rodney just told us a whole lot about some state money.
Right, oh yeah, that has its own problems. But.
Yeah. So I came in earlier today and I got something for the electric equipment, and so hopefully that'll come through. So it's a slow walking. And about the federal stuff, you know, we're working with the BRIC team, and we got news that the Army Corps, well, this is separate, the Army Corps engineering study, Army Corps of Engineers study for the stormwater that was frozen, so they're not allowed to work on our final report. So we may never get that now. And the bricks the brick grants we were looking at, we were working with the brick DTA team on. I was attending a webinar for the NOFOs for those grants, and because all those are frozen, they just talked about how the grants worked for the last fiscal year because everything's frozen for what's coming up. So we can still work on, getting our proposal together, but, we would be working on that and sending it to the state, and then they would send it to the federal government, and that seems like they might not get it together or extend money to us because, we're a disadvantaged community. We're low income, and so we are now cut with the DEI, everything that way. And also our projects are in the field of climate and emergency response and helping, us. And so that's another reason why our funding would be cut.
I was wondering that because I saw there was a bunch of push, a couple of weeks ago to get all that ready, and the applications got to be turned in, and then all this stuff happened, and then everything just I haven't seen any emails since. Yeah.
So it'd be a really good idea to contact your Congress people, like Nick Langworthy, and tell them how these things are affecting Owego, because he could try to push for us to get not removed, but or some people potentially if you find a presidentially nominated or approved person to take on your project, that maybe you could get put back on the list, to not be frozen. So if you can contact your senators and congressmen to advocate for Owego to still receive, storm funding and attention for our infrastructure projects, it would help.
Not a bad idea, although that slim margin in the Republican Congress is going to follow the lead. He's not going to be able to step outside and advocate for us. But still, you're not incorrect. If you don't get a hold of them and talk to them, we don't have. chance.
Yeah, but we lost a lot in the freeze, that we might not get back. And so, and like some of the people are still sending us stuff, but the actual FEMA people I haven't actually had any correspondence from. But like just the other.
That's weird. They didn't like say,
The other
"Oh, we're not
people?
talking to you anymore." They just like stopped emailing.
Yeah.
They were
So.
fired.
Yeah.
They're in flux. They don't know.
They just quit.
Yeah, they
I
said
guess. I don't know.
if something happened, they'd let us know, but apparently right now there's just no, yeah. I don't know if they have access to their emails or whatever.
And they may
Some
not
departments
know.
have lost it.
Because like I was talking to Joe, because it may affect our cops grant eventually. But that's in a limbo state where he doesn't know. Like it's,
No one knows.
we only do drawdowns on that every once in a while, so it's not a huge deal, but nobody knows really what's going on yet.
The guy, and the head doesn't know what he's gonna do, so nobody knows.
So it's gravely, affected our chances at any improvements or any of our goals that we'd be able to do any of it. So that's sad.
Well, good news is the car and the other stuff can go. Where are we at with the car?
Hopefully, we might lose the government part. The $7,500 from the government.
The rebate thing.
For the rebate.
Oh.
Yeah. So it might affect our budget that way, that we wouldn't have.
You didn't
We
listen.
have to adjust.
You didn't listen to me. I told you we should have bought a Tesla.
Yeah, right. This stock's going.
Should we put a deposit on the,
We haven't expended any money.
That 500 we were supposed to put on the deposit.
Yeah, I didn't do it because I didn't have the state approval yet to spend money. So.
we got that?
No, still working on that.
So we need to figure this out because.
So if we don't have state approval to spend money, we can't be buying the stuff from signs.
Right.
No, the signs part is okay. That's moving through, but the process through putting stuff through, we haven't put it through for the car yet. So
we need to work on this because, and Fred's not here to vouch, but I heard that our code guys are driving their own cars because our car is so bad now.
We are aware that vehicle out there didn't pass inspection in 2023. So like, yes, that car should not be being driven around. And I've said, or I've suggested that Fred should let the code department use their trucks so that they're driving village vehicles.
I don't know if he has an extra truck is the thing. So I heard that they were using their own mixed truck to go around the village, which they can do. They probably shouldn't be asking them to do that.
Well, we could pay a mileage if we have to.
We should be doing something.
Yeah.
Pay them some.
But we should.
Yeah, try it.
If you would put the notice in the newspaper that we are looking for.
You gotta give me some good detail.
Okay, I can send you that.
Yeah.
If we have that, it shows that we went through the process of notifying the public that we had this need to be filled through our procurement policy process. And so we need to make sure that we have all the steps filled, and that we haven't done yet, is have that public notice of our need.
What is it we're supposed to put in there that we're looking for? I lost you, I'm sorry.
Because the amount of the price of the products, we had the car, we have to say that we
And there's not a
that
state
we
bid.
want it. That way people can can like as a state bid, like people would have knowledge that they could bid on so if I can't get if nobody responds with a price of a car that we're looking for lower than the price of the car that we would, that I have the current quote on, then we can get this car. But we just have to show that we did our due diligence, that that we couldn't find it at a lower price. And so we have to have that done in a open process. So by putting it in the newspaper, that will satisfy that we've explored by showing publicly that we want to purchase
And I
this
assume
item.
that's all the stuff you have to show the state for them to say, yes, here's your money.
Yeah, for the Jeep that we got for the sewer department, that showed up in the newspaper and stuff, and then we were able to do it. And this one hasn't shown up yet, so we do have to have that part of the process be demonstrated that we went through it. So that would help.
But we'll need the specifics.
Yeah, just give us then that's be the whole thing, just something. And I'll look and see what the Jeep one looks like. Just take the Jeep out, put the new one in, and call it.
We were going to be putting in the steady states request, the ISAA thing, which was to get the information sharing with the government.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't want my name on it anymore, so maybe we could have Mick or somebody else write that request.
We're gonna share it with the Chinese government. How else is working?
Yeah.
Information sharing.
We would be sending our information into that system that just got hacked, and I don't want a part of it. So somebody else can do it if they want to, but I'm not gonna.
Who's not here? Fran.
Who's out here?
Yeah, put her name on it.
All in favor?
Maybe we're willing to.
I don't know.
Yeah, so that's
You
my.
could have my information. Good luck.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so that's my report.
Yeah, give him Rusty's email.
Yeah, get him my email. That's the ticket.
All right, man, what do you got?
You're all
Sorry,
good,
sorry,
Rona?
keep going.
Yep, that's it.
What do I got? What did I do last week?
We threw you off your
Yeah,
your flow here.
Shot 300 last week. There you go. Did you get
another 300?
Yeah, last Tuesday. Trying to think village stuff. I don't have anything, I don't think. We got another meeting coming up with the EMS crew.
Do we have a date for that? You find it, Mike?
It is a week from Thursday, the 13th. Day before Valentine's Day.
Something else going on that day.
Yeah, there is. I don't know what. You're right.
What time?
6:30.
6:30 here.
I saw on a public Facebook post that the Renewal Ranch has offered a meeting night with the community on Tuesday. It's on their post. It's like something Tuesday of the month.
They're the ones that are putting it together.
Yes, it's at their place.
Let me just write that down.
Let me find it.
At their place?
It's at their place.
Yeah, I listened to your broadcast at WEBO. That was very informative. Really helped the community understand what they were all about.
Yeah, it wasn't really my broadcast, but.
Did you find out when that was again?
Yeah, so the last Tuesday of each month, 6:30 to 7:30.
Where's it gonna be?
So they'll be there to discuss.
At the Renewal Ranch, Mike?
Yep. They'll be there to discuss their updates visions, progress, and communicate about ways we can continue to grow. So,
Well, that's what the community wants to hear.
right.
That they're gonna grow.
So we're inviting everybody.
What time was that at?
6:30. Trying to think what else I've seen. I think that's it. I'll be on the radio again Friday, so I'm sure Lou will be grilling me about something that I don't know about.
Pretty much it.
That's it.
Hey Nate, you there?
Public comment.
Wait, before we.
Nate, you there? Oh, just a second, Mike.
Yep.
Woke him up.
Give me a call.
Like right now?
No.
Must be later.
I'll call you, Rusty.
1
Okay.
a.m. Call them at 1 a.m.
1 a.m. Charles will say something.
I just like to bring to everyone's attention that, everybody knows Kenny Easton.
Yes.
He, fell and broke his hip. And, they took him to the ER and they found out that he had pneumonia. So he had a total, hip replacement, and he's now in the ICU with complications of pneumonia. So we can send out prayers to him.
You know where he is?
Huh?
Do you know where he is?
I don't know either. I didn't even equate that when Roden was telling me about his father-in-law. I didn't
No,
even,
it doesn't say
like,
what hospital he's in.
it didn't register that it's Ken, what it is.
That's all I got to say about that.
Thank you.
And has anybody talked to Fran?
Yeah, I see her every couple of days. She's doing reasonably well. I don't want to talk about her
No, I know.
and stuff, but
okay.
she's at Riverview and no decision has been made about what might happen with any potential surgery or anything. And
Right. That was the last I talked to her. She was in the hospital and they were gonna get her to Riverview for like rehab and PT and stuff.
she seems to be chipper and she gets to walk with a brace over to rehab part. So, I mean, it's not great, but it's not the worst that it could have been. That's as much as her health as I'm gonna.
She did tell me more of like, she was in Appalachian and she fell at her friend's house and she fell in the yard or something.
Fell on some ice.
Yeah.
I've fallen twice this last week and was lucky not to hurt myself significantly.
Sometimes that hurts even more.
My mom fell yesterday, took her to the ER.
Is she all right?
Yep.
I mean, that black ice is just everywhere and it's just nastier than crap. You just don't see it coming.
Black thing.
Yeah, it's not, that's what it is again.
Oh, I had a kidney stone.
Isn't he?
Was that since the last meeting?
Yeah, you mentioned it.
Black kidney stone?
It was, yeah.
Okay.
I saved it and everything.
You started.
I opened the door.
Yeah, that's right.
We don't have diversity anymore. It's good.
That's right. We got rid of that guy. Ready?
All right.
Move to adjourn. Thanks.